All right, it says we're live. See if that's true. Didn't really have time to train, so no tournament this weekend. How are you? I'm good. Been somewhat busy. It's weird, because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so crazy busy, because that's not true, but generally busy. Listening for an audio check. Didn't really have time to train, so no tournament this weekend. How are you? I'm good. Yeah, okay. We sound fine. We have 12 minutes, but thought I'd fire it up, say hi to people, let them gather. Let them gather. Keep a cute picture of a dog with an octopus hat. So we'll see. I did take some time and record 11 videos this week. So those are all up on the members only. I actually had someone, I'm not trying to disparage them. I do have a conundrum, but I'm not trying to like shout at this person. But there was someone who said they unsubscribed because I have too many members only videos and it's flooding their feed. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do about that. Because it's like, you know, you got to make money somehow. Otherwise, the whole channel goes bust. And I don't keep any content members only forever. It's just there's a video every single day and you can watch them early if you want to, if you're a member. That's fine. I didn't know it pops up in people's feeds. That's annoying, but there's nothing I can do about it. So it's like the alternative is just don't let anybody see any videos early. So take that member benefit out, then probably lose a bunch of members and lose a bunch of money. And then just manually release them well, not manually release them every day. I see that you could still auto release them, just no one gets to see them early so they don't flood somebody's feed. Or the alternative is, well, he proposed a third option, but there's also like record a video every day so that I don't flood someone's feed, and that's just not possible. Because there's some nights I get home from work and I have time, so I work up like 4 or 5 videos and then I put them out, and the next 3 or 4 days I don't have time to make a video. That's not really feasible. And then his proposal, which I'm not trying to flame the guy, it's just like not logistically possible, is make a second YouTube channel. So there's like Human Boy Yes Yes and then Human Boy Yes Yes Prime. And on Prime, you can subscribe and get all the videos early. And if you don't want to do that, then you just stay with Human Boy Yes Yes. But then it's like, okay, so am I releasing the same video twice? That's going to be terrible for the algorithm because that'll divide my audience. People think that there's an error. It's just like, that's not going to work either. So I don't know. Like, I acknowledge it's a problem for people who aren't members. There's nothing I can do about it. I think YouTube is trying to tempt people to become members, but that just seems annoying. Like, I get that. I understand his complaint where it's like, wow, all these videos showed up that I can't watch. And it's like, well, they'll come out when they come out. I wish YouTube didn't show them to you if you can't watch them. That's kind of fucked up, but that's more fucked up on YouTube's end than mine. Is that your dog? Yeah, that's Hazel. Ratman live fun stream, cute doggo, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I just left the cute image up because there's nothing here. Like, here. I'll at least shrink it so that people don't get confused. But we're just vibing. The actual battles will start in about 8 minutes. There. Little pup. Up a little octopus head. Oh. It'll be our blocker for the day. Where does that line up? Yeah, it's fine. Blocker pup. Anyway. Yeah, I'll do a more detailed introduction in a second. We're doing a Domination King of the Hill today. Tim and in cars. Can y'all get a lobby and start some picks and bans whenever? Won't start until 2. 7 min. Oh yeah, just popped the stream on a little early. Yeah, we have a Domination King of the Hill. It's part of like this promotional thing because the game has been getting very low traffic. Game's been getting very low traffic, so to try and drive up some hype, I announced the start of May 2 things. Land battle / conquest faction war, where you qualify by playing games on our Discord server. And that's all done. Everybody's qualified, so now we're just waiting for the next patch. And as soon as the next patch drops, we'll start that faction war. That'll be sick. And then for Domination, to drive some hype there, even though it's not really something I focus on too much, I was like, well, I could do a King of the Hill. So to try and get people to play the Dom ladder, it's like, all right, who's ever at the top of the Dom ladder towards the end of May, we'll do a stream, which is what you're watching now. So Tim the Wilder is currently at the top of our ladder. Very, very good Domination player. Makes it to the end a lot of turn streams. Though, as he tells me, he perpetually comes in second. So Tim's at the top of our ladder currently. So he'll be the king of the hill. And then we're getting some people. Some of them are tournament pros for Domination. Some are just randoms to fight him. And every game he wins, he gets $5. Every game, not every game he loses. If he ever loses, the person who knocked him off the hill gets $15 and he gets nothing. So he has to quit while he's ahead up to $15. Okay. 1 second. Sorry, Tim was asking me stuff. Okay. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So if he gets wins, he gets $5 a win. But if he doesn't dip out before losing, because after every game, he'll be like, do you want to keep going or do you think you're fine and just take your money? He could lose everything and then whoever beats him just gets $15. It should be pretty sweaty. Try hard. We'll see. All right, 5 minutes left. I'll check in on chat. I was checking on the combatants. What's the pupper's favorite faction? Norska, obviously. You have YouTube Premium. You can't watch the members only video, audio only. That's weird. Maybe it wouldn't be suggested if they're member only, not member first. Oh, Garrett, that's true. Though they release at midnight my time, so I definitely wouldn't be awake to do that. I could switch when they come out, obviously, still. Okay. Spec slots open. And we're here. I believe they're still doing picks and bans, so it's okay. I should get text up, huh? Our quick text. No, I'll get a different text. I don't want to change that and then forget what it said. Text. Tim wins. 0. I'm gonna put it right here. No, that's where like unit card stuff shows up. All right, we'll put it in the top right on top of the mini map, but I'll make it a little bigger so that you can see it even if it's on the mini map. Okay, 2 minutes until I should get serious. Oh, and totally asking for a friend. YouTube member, end of video shout outs when? End of video, I have the patrons. Dude, that's the hard part, is I had Patreon well before YouTube members like became a big thing. So I've had patrons for a long time, and they're great. But I've had limited stuff to offer them because it's hard to do that kind of stuff without like gatekeeping content. But then YouTube members became a thing, and it's like, all right, well, you can easily give them access to videos early. That's just a super easy thing to do with YouTube memberships. But then you can't, I wish you could, but you can't link Patreon to YouTube. Like, as a reward for being a patron, I give you YouTube membership for free, right? For my channel. I wish I could do that because it'd be super easy, because then I totally give the patrons that so they don't feel left out. But I have had patrons bring it up to me where it's like, it's kind of fucked up that we give money through Patreon and YouTube members get the videos early, but we don't. And I'm like, listen, I agree that's fucked up. There's literally nothing I can do about it. YouTube is worth more for your dollar. It is just, that is true. Patreon, I get a higher percentage of the money, but if you're looking for just pure cost effectiveness on your end, YouTube is a better deal. And some of the patrons switched over to YouTube, and that's totally fine. Like, I wish I could link them, but I can't. And the YouTube things I can offer are a better product, so I don't begrudge them at all. But yeah, so that's like the only real thing I can offer the patrons is the end of video thing. Because there's a secret chat on my Discord with patrons. I sometimes ask them like what kind of tournaments and stuff they want to see, though they don't usually respond that quickly. A couple do, but not many respond that quickly. I do ask them some stuff about the DLC, where it's like, hey, a DLC is coming out. Do you want me to focus on, I'll like put up a poll and I'll say like, do you want me to focus on live streams? Do you want me to focus on the new units, new interactions? Do you want me to focus on bugs or buffs to like buffs or debuffs to units that already existed? Do you want battle replays? So I'll put up polls for the patrons and ask them like what sort of content I should focus on when the DLC first comes out. Because when a DLC first comes out, there's like a billion things to cover, and the first 3 days are the crucial ones. So it's like, all right, what 3 videos do I get out before the public zeitgeist move on? Right? So Tim switched over to ogres. Incars is sitting on greenskins, and it looks like he is building. So our first match is going to be ogres versus greenskins. Martin B with the 28 Canadian bucks. I choose to throw my money out the window. Martin B, I appreciate you. And you're great. And amazing. But yes, you are getting the least return on your investment compared to other consistent members. Because you donate a lot, my friend. But I do appreciate you. We appreciate Martin B. Hey, Luigi. Wouldn't that be nice to be a category to have a YouTube members and Patreon together, or would you want to make the exclusivity thing like a big deal? Yeah, I just have issues linking the Patreon, like technological issues, not like decision making or emotional issues. Like, I don't wanna, like, I can't. I wish I could give it as a perk on Patreon where it's like you get, you know, Poison and Globadier YouTube membership if you're a patron level 2, and same for YouTube, where it's like, all right, if you're one of the perks of being a Poison Globadier on YouTube is you get patron status, but it just, the 2 programs don't link at all, so it's difficult. Greenskins Ogres, game 1, starting actually 2 minutes into the stream. So this is where people would actually be tuning in because this was when it was scheduled. If you're in the VOD world, you've been just listening to me ramble about nothing for a while. But welcome to the King of the Hill. Tim the Wilder, currently our blue team with the Ogres, is currently ranked #1 on our Discord bot Domination Best of 1 ladder. All the bot is it just matches you with other players, gives you tournament rules in a tournament pick and ban format at any time of day, so you don't have to just wait for the tournaments. If you are playing in a lot of Turin events or big JP's Saturday tournaments or something, and you want to get better tournament practice, you can hop on our bot at any time and try and find some games there. Tim is currently ranked #1 on that ladder. And as part of a doldrums waiting for a patch hype, I did announce earlier in the month that at some point now we would be doing a King of the Hill with whoever's top ranked on the ladder versus everyone else who dares challenge them. For every win Tim gets, he accrues $5. After every game, I will ask him if he wants to stop and collect his winnings. If he says no, then he must fight another person. If any person ever beats him, he loses everything he's accrued, and that person gets a crisp $15. Let's get into it. For Tim and his ogres, we have a heavy Noblar start. So wants to get a lot of infantry out and cover a lot of points, get a lot of space, and then summon in faster ogre units later. Piggyback riders and Noblars mixed. We have a Stonehorn with the harpoon launcher for a bit of ranged harassment in a big single entity that can be easily healed. Slaughter Master of Beasts with Flock of Doom as his only spell, and then a couple ogre bowls with dual weapons, nice and cheap mass. On the other side, for the greenskin start of in-cars, we have Aztag the Slaughterer on his flying mount. Gives him a little more HP, but a lot more speed to cover long distances. Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness, trying to go with 2 cheap spells. Since this game will probably go long, he can get a lot of use on a life leeching passive, as long as he doesn't use any big expensive spells, so he didn't take any. Other than that, I'm expecting a lot of anti-large. We have a ton of Savage Orc Boar Boys and Boar Boy Biggins. Though not as many Biggins as I would expect. The Swamp Things River Troll Hag, River Troll ROR for the Terror, Rugland's Armored Orcs for a bit of poking, and then a Savage Orc frontline with some of that physical resistance, but low armor and no anti-large is a bit interesting. I tend to see Orc Biggin spam in this type of matchup. Yeah, Garrett. You have ideas that would technically work. For sure. It is just a little bit of like, what is worth the effort / will I remember to do it consistently and remember to undo it consistently, because I have to make them, if I publish them privately to Patreon, then I have to remember to go manually click them to live. So it's tricky. There are solutions. It's just none of them are particularly super easy. And I haven't been the most proactive about getting it into a system. Greenskins quickly ran out with some Orc Boar Boy Biggins to take point 1. Get those points ticking a little bit faster. I believe you need 1,500 to win. Yeah. So it's going to be quite a while if anybody's going to win on tickets. Well, I suppose technically everyone always wins on tickets because there's no army losses in Domination. But I have seen a lot of competitive games just get surrendered because one player or the other has complete battlefield advantage and the player's like, all right, I got it, GG. And they just FF. So I don't expect it to necessarily go to points every game. The Greenskins have 2. One is right next to their spawn on this map. So it looks like they're filtering out a lot of their forces to defend the further away one, because I think they're thinking if the ogres try and take a short path over to point 3, they can easily summon some stuff right here and defend it, and they'll be fine. Whereas reinforcing point 1 is significantly harder, so they just want to start filtering stuff over there nice and early. The ogres, taking a similar mindset, no, they need to take one of the points, and again, they want to take the one that's further from the greenskin spawn. They're setting up over here. Slaughtermaster just waiting for anyone to challenge him, is getting a little free capture weight just because he can. No one's challenging him yet. If anybody comes forward and actually threatens him in any way, he will, you know, back off. Lead Belchers and the Stonehorn trying to get out a little bit of poke, though I don't know what the Stonehorn's been shooting at. Azag's completely fine. I don't see any big units that have taken damage, or does it even have damage value? Yeah, it must. 57, so it must have been shooting Savage Orcs. Is the Patreon to YouTube advantage big? If no, I'd say screw it and go all in on YouTube. I get more money from the Patreon. Also, some of them are legacy people. Like, some of the people have been on Patreon with me for, like, legitimately 3 years. So, I don't know how plugged in they are, and I just, like, don't want to change the system on them, and then they don't notice it, and then I lose a bunch of money. That'd be bad. Money good. Stonehorn, thinking about taking a charge. The Savage Orcs backs off, so Tim's just going to keep poking them down with the Lead Belchers while each side summons in a lot more things. And what is Tim getting here, mostly? Looks like our early assessment was roughly correct. I've seen a lot more Ogre Bowls than before. He's gotten a couple Iron Fists since the game started. Meanwhile, Inkar's lands Azhag on the Stonehorn, but actually the Stonehorn gets way more out of him than he gets out of it. Rip, but classic ass-egg things. His charge animations are ass. He has no breath attacks, so yeah, there's no real way for him to get good engagements. The match you posted last week was by mistake. Too late. It already got cast. Did. Hey, Curio, how you doing? So the greenskins are generally happy with this build-up. I know Tim kind of like coined this strategy, so he is going to be the master of it. He's just trying to do this crazy big build-up, and then he's going to rush all at once when he feels he has enough forces to win. He's going to overwhelm the greenskins, push them back into their spawn, and win the game in one big swoop, though that swoop comes later. And on the other side, the greenskins just have to be able to withstand it, so both sides are going to be summoning in a lot of stuff, and then we'll see who comes out on top in that big engagement. But he does have the lead belchers, so the longer the buildup goes on, the more these orc boy spears, Rugland's armored orcs, savage orcs are going to get slowly attritioned by the lead belchers and the stonehorn and whatnot. So it's not like both sides are just building up constantly and equally. One side is getting poked away. I wonder what Incars will do. I'm kind of surprised Azhag has not been using Spirit Leech at all. I know the ogres have a lot of healing, but you could still tax them, like Spirit Leech to Slaughtermaster over and over and over again, so even if he heals him, eventually he just runs out of HP. Ogre Bull's charging in to help the Noblars against Savage Orcs. Already half HP off those Savage Orcs, but Terror Out comes in from Azhag onto the Noblars. Slaughtermaster, more Ogre Bulls, and Piggyback Rider is going to take up the slack. Elsewhere, it looks like these Ogre Bull's Iron Fist might go challenge Savage Orcs and Orc Spears. We'll see. Rugland's Armored Orcs are almost entirely dead. Those Lead Belchers doing amazing work onto them. We can see a big old Ogre pile up, slaughtering the poor Savage Orc. The Orc Spear Boys have arrived to help out a little bit more, and the Greenskins did manage to save this area, so they are still accumulating those points. And a nice Overcast of Doom and Darkness actually gets rid of the Piggyback Knights, Terror Out onto the Ogre Bulls, Terror Out onto more of the Noblars, because the Swamp Things are here providing that nice terror. Sky Striders have hopped in, however. They're not going to be scared off by that little Doom and Darkness ball, and they will do insane damage on anything they get their claws into. So right now, they're just dealing with a lot of Savage Orcs, but there are some River Trolls in there. There are some Orc War Biggins. We'll see about that. Nice big Flock of Doom in from the Ogres. It's a lot of the Savage Orcs and whatnot, and the Stonehorn is taking a lot of damage. So far, I feel like Incars is getting the better of this engagement, though Tim is up almost 1,000 gold value, though how much of that was from the Lead Belcher early trading? Maybe I should be a little more cautious. Blood Vultures flying directly over the battlefield are just charging up a ton of melee attack and leadership as Azhag tries to help snipe out the Stonehorn with some Spirit Leeches. And again, he provides his own terror as well, though I suppose the Swamp Things are still here, so lots of terror to go around. Piggyback Riders and Noblars are back from their previous terror route. Now they're supporting the Ogre Bulls and the Sky Striders once again. It looks like we have another Doom and Darkness from Azhag, so we saved up all that Winds of Magic in the early game, and now he is spending it very rapidly. Almost going to get rid of the Stonehorn, but it looks like it's going to rally for now. Other Piggyback Riders are starting to terror out. The Noblars would have to actually rout as they're still terror immune. And Tim is starting to get enough capture weight to take 0.1 from the Greenskins. This little inner engagement looks like it's going to the Ogres. I mean, there's a lot of Piggyback Riders here providing their spears for the Stone Trolls and Orc Borbagans to fight on top of. Somehow Lead Belchers ended up in melee. They are backing off now, so good for them. Stonehorn did get its first big heal, that Meat Feast. There's another Spirit Leech taxes it, but this is like, I understand he was saving a lot of Winds of Magic for these big engagements where he cast a couple Overcast Doom and Darknesses. I appreciate that now, but when I was talking earlier about like, I wonder if you should just be Spirit Leeching, it's like this. Like the Stonehorn is going to get that big Meat Feast, but its healing cap also approaches very quickly, so you might as well get what little damage you can out. Incars is keeping this at about 1,000 damage value lead for Tim. So he's kind of stopped the bleeding, but Azhag might have overextended, lands as the Iron Guts are going to run back and lock him on the ground. No, they probably won't net him, like get a full surround, he can't move, but they will harass him, annoy him, take a couple thousand HP off, and he might even rout. And if he does, the Blood Vultures are here to clean him up. So Azhag's actually in pretty big trouble. Tim's taking the point. Greenskins have a decent ticket lead, but not an insurmountable one by any means. And Dismember slow cast just to make sure Azhag can't get off the ground. This is a big commitment. Iron Guts, Slaughtermaster, Blood Vultures, Noblars, and a Lead Belcher all trying to chase down Azhag. But I think he can afford it. It's not like the Ogres are really hurting for anything anywhere. They're chasing down some stuff over here. Plenty of extra units to come back up. We have Noblar Trappers being summoned in the Vanguard point. And even though the damage value is now 1,500 in the favor of the Ogres, it feels a lot larger than that. Like, just looking at the battlefield space, it looks like the Greenskins are backed against the wall, and the ogres have like infinite troops. So sometimes that little damage value isn't exactly accurate. I do think Azhag is doomed. He's about to rout any second now, and then the Blood Vultures can just walk him off the map. That's going to be pretty bad. Savage Orc and Orc Spears did make their push towards point 2. Ogre Bowls and some Noblog Trappers trying to dissuade them as the Lead Belchers provide covering fire. But I think that's just kind of a desperate attempt from the Greenskins to get a little bit of momentum somewhere, or at least pressure the Ogres to summon some stuff in over there and not contribute it to this fight, which actually looks like it is working. I mean, we have an Iron Guts being summoned, Noblog Trapper being summoned. So that's all good and fine, but Azhag being chased off by the Blood Vultures is pretty tragic. Savage Orcs tried to save him, didn't quite work. And point 2 is controlled by the Ogres. So yeah, Tim still has the double cap right now. Greenskins mounting a bit of an offensive over here, but Orc Spear Boys are trying to tear out away from that Stonehorn, who just will not rout, will not die either with all that healing. Stone Troll's trying to hold on, but again, terror outs come for them all. Orc Barbarians continue to try and fight, but there's a lot of Ogre bodies all pressed in here together. It's very difficult to deal damage to them as they're kind of this weird death ball moving around the map. Greenskins all start to rout. Their back is broken, and I doubt they'll be coming back anytime soon, as the Ogres are going to probably chase them almost all the way off the map. For the Greenskins, we've got some more Savage Orc Boar Boys. We've got a couple R Boys here and there. There's really not that much as the Blood Vultures continue to walk Azhag off the map, and that's going to be GG.
Unending glory is yours.
Tim gets his first win. Stonehorn, Leadbelcher, and Flock of Doomcaster got most of the value for the Ogres. Piggyback Rider has got some here and there. Skystriders did alright too. Yeah, for his summons, he just had Noblog Trappers, more Bulls. For in-cars, Azhag did alright. His first Doom and Darkness was pretty impactful, but after that, the Doom and Darknesses just didn't get much done. And then I feel like the Boar Boys let him down. Like, his Boar Boys got into a ton of engagements and just didn't do much damage ever. So, it's a pretty big bummer. For the Greenskins. Get our blocker back up. Mrs. Maisel. Give Tim his win. And Sipa is here. Sipa, second best player in the world for land battles / conquest. Tim the Wilder, second best player for domination. But who is the second best player overall, my friends? Let's find out on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Z. If anybody cares, I finished The Witcher, the main Witcher books. I didn't read any of the side books yet. I'll start on, I don't know. I don't know if I'll start on those. It's been a while since I put out a lore video. I'm going to put out a bit of a lore video on the Witcher series, but it's not going to cover the whole thing. So then I'm like, well, should I go read some Warhammer and make lore videos, or should I read the Witcher books and finish them? I don't know. But I finished the mainline Witcher books. They were alright. I have some complaints about them that I want to make a video about, but I don't think the book series was bad. The premise of the video is going to be, I don't think if you watched the Netflix show or played the games, I don't think you should read the books. And that's the premise of the video. Not that they're bad, but like, I'll talk more about it in the video. But to kind of get my point across, like, it's very Americanized, I feel like the Netflix show is. And reading the books, like, in the game and in the show, Geralt is kind of cranky, but incredible at what he does. And he's, like, very important and good at things. in the books, he's just some fucking guy. And I get really frustrated because I expected him to be some hero and he's not. But he's not even like an anti-hero. He's just some fucking guy. Where like, I don't have the exact examples because I don't have my notes in front of me. That'll be for the video. But like, he'll be like, that is a 3-headed horse dog. You need to stab it in its second head to kill it. And then like someone next to him will be like, nah, dude, that's wrong as hell. And the thing kicks his ass. And I'm like, oh, he kind of sucks at these things. He doesn't suck at everything. And he's better than like an average guy. But he's not like amazing. I know I'm not describing it well. Hitman Hippo was asking me questions about the stream. Does the author of the books hate the video games or something? Doesn't the author of the books hate the video games? I think so, Coops. So I don't know. I know I'm not describing it well, so I'm going to focus on you guys and stop typing to people about the King of the Hill. So Sipa and Tim the Wilder are starting their picks and bans. They don't need my attention anymore. I can focus. Like, to not spoil too much, I think the cool part of the books is there is a war happening and you are getting the story from the perspective of Geralt of Rivia. So what's really cool, and I just mean this is a positive thing, is you don't get the full picture of what's going on with the war. You get snippets through the eyes of Geralt. So sometimes big things will happen right in front of him, and you as the reader are like, holy shit, I'm so like excited for what comes next. And then Geralt leaves, and you're like, no, I want to fucking know what happened. And then like 100 pages later, he'll run into someone who was there, like Dandelion or something. He goes, oh yeah, how'd that battle go? And Dandelion's like, oh, Foltest died, didn't you know? And Geralt's like, nah. And then you're kind of mad at Geralt, where you're like, dude, like, I wanted to know that, you piece of shit. Those are the cool parts. Those are the very cool parts. The parts I get frustrated with is like, people will treat Geralt like he's a big deal. Like Foltest, let's say, goes, oh, Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher, you're legendary. You're like 85 years old or something, and like you're very knowledgeable, and you have all these things, and you went to here, and you did this, yeah. You must know about this. And Geralt's like, yeah, I know about that. And he's like, okay, can you go deal with that? He's like, yeah, I can go deal with that. And then he gets his ass completely handed to him by like, I don't know, 3 guys at that place. And he has to get his life saved. And he gets his life saved all the time. So I think the only part I can actually complain about, because the video isn't going to be all about complaining, it's going to be about differences and why I don't think someone who watched the Netflix show or played the games should read the books. Or if you read the books, you should go into it completely fresh. Like, don't expect anything from the Geralt you saw to exist. But like, I think it's meant to be written more as a realistic story where like someone's not a hero because they can charge into 50 guys and kill them all with like inspirational music playing behind them. A hero is someone who can win 1v1s incredibly consistently and doesn't back down from a fight, but 2v1s, 3v1s, you're probably fucked. Like, I think it's meant to be that, but I went into it after watching season 1, or I think season 1 and 2, maybe just season 1 of the Netflix show, and I played The Witcher 3 all the way through, and I played like most of The Witcher 2. So I went in there with like oh yeah, my Geralt, or the Geralt in the show, is massacring people, and like he's this force of nature, and he's so crazy strong and smart, and he's a monster hunter and all these things. But then in the book, he's just some fucking guy. So it's like, oh, this isn't what I expected. It's not bad, but it's not what I expected. And then I'm kind of off. You know, like you're off kilter because it wasn't what you were expecting to read. It's kind of like if your friend said, we're having lasagna, and you go to their house and you're having burgers. I'm not trying to say burgers are bad. I'm just like, I'm kind of like shook from expecting something completely different than what I got. So that's how I want to explain it. And like the video go into a lot more specifics and details of the issues I had in that realm. Because I do have some things I want to talk about, but I need to be very careful because I don't think they're bad books. I don't think that. But when you talk about some of these things and someone's passionate about it, they could be like, no, you just don't understand. It's like, yeah, I do understand. And I wish I had understood earlier. I think I would have enjoyed the books a lot more if I had known what I was getting into. But out of 5 books, I spent the first 3 really fucking confused about what I was reading, because it felt like an entirely different character than the show in the game. And then by book 4 and 5, I got that, and I started to get into it a little bit more. It's not my favorite thing I've ever read. I'm not going to pretend it was like, you know, the perfect Lord of the Rings trilogy heir to the throne. It was good. It was fine. I think the world building's solid. I really didn't like that there was time travel, but I'm just a time travel hater. I don't like time travel in any media anymore. I think it's been done to death, so that's not really something I'm going to blame The Witcher for. It's just kind of like, oh, this isn't for me. Might be for someone else. But yeah. I don't know. But I have some stuff to say on it, and I have some funny anecdotes. The problem is I'm going to have to put a trigger warning at the start, because there's some cultural differences, and in America, or at least in the circles I run in America, sexual violence isn't something to joke about, and there is a lot of jokes about it in the Witcher books, and I recognize that's just a cultural difference between the author and America in 2025. So I'm going to need to put a disclaimer at the front, like, listen, there's a lot of references to this, and a lot of them are comedic in nature, and you may not find that funny, but it is what it is. So yeah, it's another thing to look out for. If you don't find that kind of thing funny, probably not going to be a great book for you. Because there's one anecdote of like this guy and Ciri's time traveling and dimension hopping. She's doing both. So this wizard in the, not even a wizard, he's a hermit because he has no magical capacity, but this hermit in the forest is sitting behind a tree creeping on nothing. I don't know what he's creeping on, but he's creeping, and Ciri appears out of thin air on top of a black horse in armor with 2 swords on her back, and she looks down at him and she says, "What time is it?" And he goes, "Oh, the time traveler wants to know what time it is, but she doesn't want to know where she is." And she goes, "Okay, where am I and what time it is?" And he's like, "That'll come in due time, time traveler lady. But what's over there?" And she turns around and he hits her over the back of the head with a hatchet to try and knock her unconscious and like redacted. But then she gets up and murders him. But like the punchline of it is like, you know, he wanted to commit sexual assault, but it is like objectively stupid that this man just watched a time traveling god appear in front of him and he's like, "I'm gonna have sex with that." And I'm like, what what the fuck is happening? So there's a lot of things like that in the book where not all of them pertain to like violence of that nature, but there are a lot of like, what the actual fuck is going on? And that's why I think it's like, oh, these books are meant to be not a comedy, but they have like a lot of humor in them that I wasn't appreciating because I went into it with the mindset of I'm going to get a serious buttoned up adventure. And they're not serious buttoned up adventures. They're weird, slightly comical, slightly political satire adventures. So there was a long ramble. Because he made a terrible mistake when selling the rights for the books. Damn. Book World is more emotional. There's less action in the games. Yeah. I think the video game got the vibe okay. I mean, it's in other mediums. You can't really one-to-one it. Garrett, that's true. But also, and I'm agreeing with you. I shouldn't say but, because but implies I'm going to disagree. I also think it's difficult, and I take ownership for this. This is my mistake. But in a game where I get to make decisions for who Geralt is, then I go and read a book and I'm like, that's not the Geralt I built in the game where I get to make choices about what Geralt does. And it's like, wait, no, that's a stupid expectation. I had a dumb expectation. That's on me. Never read the books. You thought the game takes place after the books. Yes, it does. For sure. It does. And the problems, I do have some problems with the books. But the problems I have are never like, well, there's one or two. But most of the time, it's not like he made a mistake or this is non-canonical or this doesn't make sense. A lot of mine are more of writing decisions where it's like, oh, I would have preferred the story or the character or whatever go a different direction. Like, okay, here's another example. I guess we're just doing the whole video right now, but we have time. They're building their builds. So Ciri at one point gets separated from Geralt and Yen. And like, This is a big part of the video, but like there's this attack on this island, and I know, don't throw this at me, because I know she's a teenager, and I know that's the defense, is she's a teenager, sure, but that doesn't mean she can't be insufferable. So Geralt and Yen are on this island full of mages, and a whole bunch of complicated shit goes down that I'm not going to explain. But the main point is there's a bunch of elven commandos coming for Ciri, and Geralt and Yen have to defend her. So as they run, Geralt and Yennefer together, running, and then they come to this blocked area, and Yennefer has to open a door with magic, and then she stays behind to close the door, seal it, and then fight the elves. As far as Ciri knows, Yennefer just died for her. And then Geralt and her run to this tower, and the leader of the elves at the time is there, and Geralt duels him, and Ciri watches Geralt get his ass handed to him, and he says, go, with his, like, as far as she knows, dying breath. As far as she knows, he died for her in front of her. Is that traumatizing? Sure. Yes, it is. Not my point. She goes through this tower. There's a portal. She jumps in the portal. She shows up in a desert. And when she gets to the desert, she starts crying and she says, Geralt and Yennefer abandoned me. And I'm like, as far as you know, they both died for you. Like, you disrespectful asshole. And she just goes on and on and on about how, yes, okay, she can lament her situation. No one is saying being alone in the desert as a teenager is easy. That's not what I'm mad about. I'm mad how much she blames Geralt and Yennefer for dying for her. And I know the defense is going to be, she's a teenager and she's emotional. That doesn't mean I have to like reading her emotional nonsense for hours. And then finally, she gets out of the desert and she hooks up with this gang of rebels, and she goes around marauding and murdering civilians, doing cocaine and having lots of sex. Yes, that is real. She does all this stuff, and then like at one point she's really high and she's like, well, my parents never loved me, they abandoned me. And I'm like, bitch, they died for you. Like, what is this? How have you not had any reflection over months that they died for you? You watched it happen. And like, and then she learns they're alive, and her reaction is, guess I gotta go save them, even though they never saved me. And I'm like, they literally saved you! For all you knew until this point, they died saving you. How can your takeaway from that be, oh, they've never done anything for me? They gave everything for you, and she's just such an ass. She's the worst. And then when like, she's the main character of the last 3 books, I'm like, I don't want to read about this fucking person. She sucks. Anyway, as you can tell, I have a lot of feelings about it, which is why I want to make a whole video on it. Anyway. Okay. We're focusing up. We got a video game to cover, not The Witcher. Woo! We have ogres again, but this time from Sipa. So for Tim the Wilder, defending King of the Hill, on to his second game, trying to get those wins, get that money. We have vampire counts, who I haven't seen for a long time in Domination, but I hear they're still quite good. We have some skeleton spears, graveguard with halberds, and then zombies. And it looks like we're forming 2 clumps of armies. Each one has a corpse cart. One army has 2 White Kings. I'm trying to tell if it's 2 White Kings or White King Kemmler. Double White King, both with Scabscrath, and then Heinrich Kemmler, who has a zombie summon and Invocation of Heck. And then we have Cryptors. For the other clump, we have a similar unit composition, just didn't take any of the heroes with him. As Sipa starts off with a nice burning head through a lot of zombies. Those will have to get some nice healing from Kemmler, or I guess the corpse card doesn't have healing, so yeah, just Kemmler. So he's going for a double intense approach strategy. For Sipa, he's going with a Firebelly kills the entire army strategy, which I guess I can respect. So for the ogres, we have Firebelly start, Golgies, Maneaters, and some Gnoblars. Piggyback riders as well. So he's going with a much more elite start than Tim did in the other game, where Tim spawned like mostly just Gnoblars and then like a cheap caster lord. He has Golgi himself and then Golgi's Maneaters, 3 of them. So that is a very, very elite start. Sipa's going to take quite a while to get some extra troops back, as double Scabscrath goes through the piggyback riders and Gnoblar front line, already significantly weakening them. Piggyback riders have that intense buff, but I think it's only when they're leadership. No, it's their hit points are greater than 50%. So these piggyback riders are actually about to lose that buff and kind of become a middling spear unit. Both sides trading a lot of value at the start. It's not going to show it because spells are weirdly bugged, so that burning head didn't give him much value, but you can see the damage. Like, there's a lot of half health bars on a lot of the chaff units. Looks like the vampire counts are actually going to pull their second blob back. They're not going to engage with the fight on point 3. They're instead just going to go for point 1. Where is point 2? Am I blind? Where's point 2? Oh, it's way out here. Got it. Well, then there's 2 uncontested Nobblers over here being Nobblers.
You have the foe's victory
Anyway, Sipa's realizing that Tim is pulling back, and he really wants to get some sort of melee engagement over here, so he's at least going to charge forward and get free kills onto zombies and get free ogre passive for charging at them, because he just wants to force some kind of engagement. None of the White Kings, no Heinrich Kemmler, nothing is over here to punish him for taking the fight, so he just wants to take it. Mortis Engine spawned in, that will be quite nice. I imagine we'll see Sipa pull back. As soon as that Mortis Engine gets close, and we can see Kemmler's forces are also kind of closing in, he's going to want out of here. Yeah, he's already pathing out, so he's fine. When are the ogre players going to learn they need to ban that? I don't know, dude. I don't know. VC ogres. Mortis Engine is in, doing a little bit of drain on some of the Nobblars, but it's having issues getting into melee to apply its drain. Since their zombies are taking up a lot of the space, so it's hard to actually find an enemy model to make contact with. Over here, some of Golgi's man-eaters and piggyback riders are teaming up on the White King, but the White King is so small compared to them that ogres can't really get a good surround on him, so a couple man-eaters hitting him at any point in time isn't that bad. It's not like the whole unit can beat him up all at the same time. That's where you get real damage out. Another burning head down the line. Beautiful shot for Sipa here. Gonna hit a ton of skeletons and zombies, and then even bounces off this middle thing, hitting the zombies again and going back through. A little bit more friendly fire this time though, so maybe that part isn't as he wanted it to go, but still a really good burning head from that firecaster. Now this is a big problem. Krell got summoned behind Golgi, and he's surrounded by Crypt Wars, so he doesn't have the mass to push through uncontested. Like, he can push through, but it's going to take a long time, and Krell is whooping his ass right now. As Krell just gets shot after shot on the back of the Maneater, who is trying to get away. Less than half HP on him, and Kemmler throws down an AoE Invocation to Heck, trying to heal some of these zombies and skeleton spearmen that took so much damage from those burning heads before. The Maneater does rout. I don't know if there's any units fast enough to really chase him off. No, like, Black Knights or dogs or anything. I mean, Cryptors are, like, technically the same speed, but yeah, it's not going to be huge. Tim the Wilder has a huge advantage, though. He is above 2-to-1 on damage value. He has not taken any of the points. Currently, the Ogres have a triple cap on the map, but I don't think it's going to matter. As we mentioned before, it's more about damage in the early game. Like, if you just kill so many of your opponents that you're going to triple cap in the late game, it doesn't really matter. Another beautiful burning head. Sipa's getting a ton of those. Firebelly hasn't gotten incredible value because it's zombies and crap, but he has gotten 100 kills already 5 minutes into this game, which is quite nice. Nobblars are starting to fall apart. Obviously, they don't like fighting the forces of the undead as Crypt Horrors push through all of them. The Mortis Engine and Corpse Carts providing buffs here and there for the troops. We have Fellbats flying over the top. Probably going to go harass the Lead Belchers so they don't punish this blob too hard. Which, that's a lot of unit flags, but in reality, there's not a lot of units here. Like, Krell is a single entity and he's fake. 2 White Kings, Kemmler, 2 Corpse Carts, and a Mortis Engine, all in this one horrendous blob. In reality, there's a Halberd, there's a Spear, there's a couple Crypt Horrors. So, not that many true unit models there or anything. Meanwhile, over here, Golgi's Man-Eaters, immune to psychology and fighting to the very end. Gonna push through these Stalkers and all those guys. Where did Golgi end up? He didn't die, did he? I know he routed, but I'm kind of surprised if he actually died already. Single entities are usually quite hard to finish off. Yeah, looks like he is gone. Let's see if they have the Lord is Dead debuff. Yeah, Lord Dead -10. Rip in peace. Sipa's kind of stabilizing the damage value difference. He's at still a 2,000 deficit, which is bad. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that. But earlier it was, 3,000 to 1,000. Now it's 5,000 to 3,000. So it's like the percentage difference is getting less. And you see this fight's going really well for him, actually. Vampire counts did take 0.3 by capture rate, sure. We have 2 Man-Eaters? No, a Man-Eater and Ogre Bull duo weapons just shredding through the Crypt Ghouls and skeletons and all the other things like that. So this is actually going to be a big win for the Ogres on 0.3. They'll secure that. Bigger problem is 0.1 is a giant mess. And they don't have a Flock of Doomcaster or, I guess, Final Transmutation, Traderkin, anything to hurt single entities. Not that, Flock of Doom would. I was just starting to think, I'm like, wait, man, if this was Beastmen right now, they'd just be like, Traderkin, 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 get like 5,000 value. But no, the Ogres, even if they get their caster back on this side of the map, he really doesn't have anything to deal with single entities. He brought 2 different ways of dealing with chaff. And then he was hoping his Ogre Bulls and Golgi's Man-Eaters would surround the leftover single entities and beat them to death. Not a bad plan. I think Golgi himself getting isolated and murdered like that was a huge problem, because now his leadership is falling apart everywhere, where that didn't have to be the case. If his leadership was a little more stalwart and his Nobblars fought a little harder, maybe his Ogre Bulls would still be in it. Who knows? But like I said, he stabilized the gold damage value pretty well after his Lord got 100 to 0. Like, he ended up in that blob fight at full health and then died. Like, that's that. So his expensive melee Lord, cost-wise, is actually the difference between their gold damage value right now. All right, Firebelly running away. A burning head on the way out did hit 2 different skeleton spearmen, and blood vultures thinking about diving in to help out. Yeah, they are going to pull the spears off of him. Meanwhile, the Man-Eaters, Ogre Bulls, hold the line. Mortis Engine is nearby, starting to drain them down. Terror outs them away. And this fight that was looking really good for the Ogre Kingdoms did eventually fall apart. Golgi himself is back. He does have his Bugman's Brew, so if he can ever not get in a fight like that again where he straight up dies, if he can fall back, he can get nearly infinite healing. As the Vampire Counts have now secured their own triple cap, Sipa got a crazy amount of capture points off of his early triple cap. That is coming to an end. Ogres are losing 0.2 and 0.3 as we speak. I don't know how they're going to get momentum back, because he stopped the bleeding, but stopping the bleeding is different than, like, turning the tide, you know? It's half the battle, because you've turned the momentum from being against you to being neutral, but you're at a down state, so you need to shift the momentum back in your favor to get anywhere. And it looks like for now, Sipa is trying to build up Ogre army passive by getting charges in, and it looks like he's trying to mostly use Golgi to clump things up for the Lead Belchers to get really good clump shots in. And then he's going to use the Lead Belchers to pressure the Vampire Counts while he resummons Piggyback Riders, and he kind of gets a second wind. He's afforded the second wind by having enough victory tickets from his early triple cap. Now he can afford to not have any capture points for a little bit. He can afford to build this up. As the Mortis Engine is taking a good amount of damage, it looks like the Lead Belchers are actually hitting that significantly, which, that's fine. He's getting good damage out, so I don't want to criticize it. It's just I would have thought to shoot this Crypt Horror blob, so I don't really... I don't know. It seems weird, but he's getting really good damage down on the Mortis Engine, so I guess, you know, it is what it is, you know. Black Knights, Lances, and Barding charge in. They get mired in some Piggyback Riders and Ogre Bulls with dual weapons for a little bit. It looked like they were going to try and dive the Lead Belchers, but they just didn't quite get there. I still don't know what the Ogres are going to do about the Hero Squad. Kemmler, the White Kings, all that stuff. As we have some Man-Eaters in the back line. I wonder how they got this far back, but it looks like Kemmler's trying to collapse in on him. Skeleton Warriors is a summon, it appears, since they have that little unbinding thing. So those will go away in their own time. And the Ogres from Sipa, good job. He's trying to capture 0.2, while the slower Vampire Counts are having a harder time rotating and keeping everything under control. Because again, Sipa's trying to play for time now. He's trying to play for time, get good engagements, summon reinforcements in slowly, and just come back stronger and better than ever later in the game. So if he can take any points and stop the Vampires from their triple cap dominance, that'll just buy him critical time. As Golgi's getting in some fights, I would expect to see him soon pull out and try and go use his Bugman's Brew or whatever. Saber-Tusk Pack summoned in with Nobblar Flingers to help out, getting rid of Fellbats and these Black Knights that are trying to charge down the Lead Belchers, who have gotten pretty good amount of kills. 317 kills, 2,100 damage value is super nice. Firebelly's still fighting at 11 minutes in the game, and I've seen him using Burning Heads like nobody's business. I actually don't know how much Winds of Magic he has left, period. Not like it's not recharging very fast, but I actually don't know how much he still has to use in this video game. He didn't bring a Necromancer on a corpse card. He didn't bring Manfred von Karstein with Power Stone, which of course he didn't, because he's the Ogre Kingdoms, and shut up, human boy. Yep, we fucked that up. We're just gonna push through it. Anyway, he doesn't have any way of generating reserves, so I have no idea how much Winds of Magic he has. Another Burning Head down the line. Hard to tell if it's overcast or undercast. That looks like an undercast. It got a little bit of damage. It lowered their leadership a little bit so that they would maybe start crumbling. But I'm worried about Golgi here. He seems to be overcommitting again. Like, if he gets out and he heals, then fine. But if he stays in here to his death or routes again, then that's just twice he's summoned in Golgi's Man-Eater, Golgi himself, to not use his healing and just one-shot him to death. Got some more Ogre Bulls, got the Piggyback Knights charging in. The Man-Eater himself is down to about 2,000 HP. His leadership is failing. And most of the vampire counts have secured the right flank. I do think Tim's got an insurmountable lead at this point. Something about that damage value doesn't look right, because as you look around the map, maybe it's just the fact that the vampire counts have insane amounts of healing. But if you look around the map, it looks like the vampire counts have way more stuff on the map than the Ogre Kingdoms, even though there's only a 2,000 gold damage difference. There is not a 2,000 gold difference on the battlefield. There is a lot more. As Golgi dies again, Sipa, you can't just keep throwing him in and then leaving him there. He has the healing. I'm cringing. Nice overcast invocation hack. That's got to seal it the second time the Maneater has died. Again, everybody takes the Lord is dead debuff. Lead Belchers, Slingers, all thinking about leaving. Sipa did get rid of the Mortis Engine. Good job for him, but he's about to lose his Fire Belly. Not a huge deal at this point in the game. The Fire Belly has kind of run out his course. Now at 13 minutes in the game, at most, he has one undercasted Burning Head. Not really a big deal to lose your caster at that point, but losing the Maneater, losing momentum was pretty rough. I don't think losing Golgi the second time lost him the game, because just look at the map, like I'm saying, either it's the combination of healing or just damage. Certain damage value doesn't count, like Flock of Doom for some reason doesn't count up here. Something about that isn't adding up, because this is not a 2,000 gold difference. Looking at this map, this is a 4,000 gold difference. Like, we have a single Ogre Bull with dual weapons, a Piggyback Rider, the Boglars, and Noblar Flingers. That is it for the Ogres versus, like, I still see 3 Crypt Horrors, 2 White Kings, Kemmler, Corpse Cart, a bunch of Skeleton Spears, and some Crypt Ghouls, and it's like, nah. This isn't, this isn't a couple thousand. This is multiple thousand difference. It was a good game overall, though. I like Sipa's build. I think it was cool. The Golgi's Maneaters to start off the game as just this solid front line that wouldn't break and, you know, beat down your opponents. I thought that was really smart. It just, the mistakes with the Maneater himself caused Sipa a lot of problems. And then Tim's foot White Kings and Kemmler was really annoying. Because you could just tell, like, Sipa kept getting onto them and then just nothing would happen because he can't hit foot characters that well. Really good damage value with the Lead Belchers. Fire Belly did great. I mean, 2,500 damage value, 170 kills. It's quite solid. The Maneaters did fine. For Tim / own goal, Crypt Horrors did fine. Mortis Engine did pretty well. I mean, his spears were just around, being persistent and a nuisance. GG's. GG. All right, let's update Tim's wins to 2. All right, we got to get Charix in here. And then we had some more people sign up. I'm not sure if Scarbrand signed up. Okay, so Charix is coming. If you don't know Charix, he was in Warhammer 2 a very good Wood Elf main of Clan RTK. And then when Warhammer 3 came around, he switched over to being a full Dom Lord. As far as I know, he's really good at Dom, though I don't see him winning a ton of tournaments. Like, people, when they talk about favorites, there's like, that guy, I can never remember his name, but he's from China and he lives in Germany, and everybody says he's really nice. Soli Sora? Yeah, that one. Soli Sora. Then there's Tim, who perpetually gets second. There's Berserk, who kicks a ton of ass. I know Hippo's quite good. I think Chicken Feed's quite good. I don't know the Dom scene as well, but I know Charix is a very good player. I just, like, don't hear him talked about a lot. So we'll see. Charks did ask to be later. He's in a different tournament. I assume that's over, but if he doesn't answer within like 5 minutes, we'll get Hippo in here, who's next on the list. And Hippo is currently typing in the Discord chat, so I know he is responsive. So he'll be here. You clicked for the dog screen blocker, you stayed for Warhammer 3. My favorite fantasy authors at the moment are Brandon Sanderson and Marcus Hines. Sanderson's really good. Hey, Charles is here. Sanderson's really good. I liked Patrick Rothfuss, but then he's inconsistent about staying on schedule with his writing. So what he writes is beautiful, but it's not going to come out in a timely fashion. I read a ton of fantasy books, but I'm not that loyal to authors, you know? I just kind of hop around and read whatever books strike my fancy. I've been reading too much Warhammer books recently, like the last 4 years of my reading, because I don't have a ton of time to read, but I do read consistently. I read at lunch every day at work. So every day I read 30 to 45 minutes. It adds up, but yeah, been reading a lot of Warhammer, so I guess I'm out of the loop on a lot of books. Weird we would have gotten a better RPG game for Witcher than a mediocre book series, in my opinion. But you can't get a good one for Lord of the Rings. Yes. It's tough to make a movie out of this clunker of a book. Yeah, dude, Garrett... I have never read the Lord of the Rings books, and I do not at all pretend the Lord of the Rings books are bad. When I say I didn't like them, I am saying exactly that. I didn't like them. It does not mean they are bad. So, but when I was reading them, and I'm exaggerating for humor, but when I was reading the Lord of the Rings books, it was like, Frodo set out from his house, and he saw next to him tomatoes. Those tomatoes grown by his father, Dooney, and his father, Dimmy Dooney, and his father's fathers, Dimmy Dommy Doomy, and his father's father's father, where he found the seeds next to the tree. And that tree came from the roots of Gandalf's left toenail. Now, how that toenail came to be planted in the ground is an interesting story in itself. So one time, Gandalf was fighting with his wife. Not that Gandalf, not the Gandalf you knew. Gandalf 10,000 years ago, who was a hobbit, but also still a wizard. He had a wife, and his wife didn't like how he did the laundry. So when they got into a fight about the laundry, she kicked him, but she kicked very low because she's a hobbit. So she hit his nail, it flew off of his foot, ended up on the ground, and then it just so happened his neighbor, Carl, happened to be digging a garden. So there were holes in the ground. He didn't notice that he buried the toenail next to his tomatoes at the time. Anyway, so years go on, the toenail grows into a tree, the tree upsets the tomatoes. Very funny story. Anyway, Frodo takes another step. Now, on that step, he actually happened to kick a rock. That rock goes back to that. I'm like, I don't care! And I just had to stop. I couldn't, man. It was too much backstory for every fucking thing. So that's just me. I couldn't hang with like the amount of detail and the amount of world building, which some people really like. World building's great, right? I just wasn't as much about it. I'm more of a yada yada kind of person. My favorite fantasy books are ones that don't explain too much about how magic works, because some people really like the mechanics of like a magic system, and it's like, oh man, you can pull these threads out of the air, and if you combine them with a weave, you make a spell. I'm like, yeah, dude, just say you made a spell. Like, I read too much fantasy shit to care how everyone's individual magic system works. I get it, there's magic. We can move on with the plot. I'm much more interested in the character interactions, the world events, the themes, the narratives, those kind of things than the world building, because I just hop around too much. I'm just not invested in a lot of worlds because I don't stay in them very long. I read the books and I move on. Warhammer, I care about the world, but that's because, you know, I do this channel, so I talk about Warhammer a lot, so I have to live in the world. I'm like, okay, now I care about the nuance. But passing by, not as much my thing. Hey, Trogdor, how you doing? Recently read WOT. Game is similar. Rand killed my mom. His sister, brother, girlfriend, father figure. No, he told me didn't. He still blames Rand for killing his mom. What is WOT, Coops, if you're still here? I know that message was a while ago. I was busy with the game, so I didn't get to... Oh, Wheel of Time! Got it. Got it, Coops. You don't have to tell me. Wheel of Time. Charks is in. It looks like we have Beastman versus Lizardman. Charks is already ready to go as Tim is setting up his Beastie Boys. Dark Disciple Soli Sora. Yeah, Jeopardy was answering my question from way back in the day. Got too grim dark when the author changed. Yeah, I think that was like around the end times writing, right? Nailed it. There's a very good book that is a great panic and it doesn't do too much exposition. Vol Forever, I think. Thanks, Will. That's my book. That's a good book. That's a good book. Vol Forever, great book. Holy, what is this Charx build? I'm guessing this is some Dom thing I'm too land battle to understand, but looking at Pterodon, Solar Engine, double Troglodon Kite is interesting. And Neutral Guy, I think when you said get on with it, you're probably referring to my whole, like, actually, that's an interesting story. This tomato seed thing. I don't know if you were intentionally leaning into my bit, but that is literally how I felt reading it. I was like, there's so much exposition. I can't do it. So I bailed. I think I made it through half of the first book before I bailed. Because I had already watched the movies, so I was like, I'll just go watch the movies again. They're just the same as the book. I acknowledge that's stupid. I acknowledge that was incorrect. But I did enjoy the movies a lot. Dude, Spyrat, did you ever... It's okay to say no, but did you ever watch my first lore video? Is how Deathblade ruins a good character, Malice Darkblade. That is... I listened to some of my lore videos from the past. I'm like, oh, I could have done that a lot better. Like, I'm much better now as a YouTuber than I was then. I will say, I've re-listened to my Malice Darkblade rant like 2 or 3 times. That shit holds up. My Deathblade rant is hilarious because they fucked everything up so bad. Yeah, Neutral Guy. Okay, yeah. It was referring to the Lord of the Rings bit. Yeah. Then I did a good job because if I annoyed you, that's how I felt about reading those books. But we have a video game in front of us. Let's get on with it before they hit start and ruin everything. For the Beastmen, it is an incredibly wide 16-man front line. Ungor Raiders mixed in with Ungor Spearman herds, Gore herds, everything Gore and Ungor possible. And we do have a Brave Shaman of Shadows with Melkoths and Enfeebling Foe. And we have a Gorebull with Slaughterer's Call. Gorebulls seem very popular in Domination because you can just kind of put them on a point and then they provide a bunch of stats and immune to psychology and keep your beastmen in the fight. That looks funny. Tim deployed in full Vanguard and then immediately retreated. And obviously it's because he saw his opponent's build and decided to change tact, but I really like, well, why didn't you just start back here if you wanted to run away? Anyway, for Charks, we have Lizard Kite to start off. 2 Pterodon Riders, a bunch of Skink Skirmishers, double Feral Troglodon, and then we have Mazdamundi on his toilet seat and a Solar Engine. So a lot of ranged damage to start this game off. Kind of surprised, maybe there's something I'm missing, but I'm kind of surprised Tim doesn't want to push forward with all of his infantry and just keep his single entities at bay, because Troglodons really don't want to waste their ammo on random Beastman infantry. Trogdor, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Will, Call of the Hunger is pretty good. Call of the Hunger is pretty good. We get funny little anecdotes there and there. It's just some D&D nonsense. Okay, Ruination of Cities RNG. Where does it go? Oh! Okay. Not amazing RNG. Decent. That was decent RNG. I'd give it like a 4 out of 10. The first one was looking crisp, and then the next two kind of whiffed it. So, Not as much for Mazda as he wanted. That is going to be a net, and that is almost a dead Gorbel. I mean, 2 Troglodons shooting at a point-blank range and a Solar Engine. But oh! Beautiful save. Great Brave Shaman of Shadows jumps into a losing fight just to save the Gorbel as a second Gorbel has been spawned in. Mr. President, a second Gorbel has spawned in, jumps right into the Troglodon. The Troglodon is starting to run away now, but his stagger animations, his not so great speed, and his horrible mass are a reason you don't see the Troglodon a lot. It ends up rampaging. Oh, there's a reason you don't see the Troglodon a lot. Cold-Blooded gets it to stop rampaging as it tries to pull away, but it's lost over half of its HP while it just staggers to hell and back because this thing sucks. Troglodons suck. You can fight me. Anyway, nice banishment from the Salon to get rid of an entire Gore herd, and he's trying to heal it up with Apotheosis. Only Cold-Blooded's leadership is keeping this thing from routing, though honestly, Charx is also fine with it routing because it's just going to route back towards his own troops, which is what he's been trying to get it to frickin' do for like an hour and a half. Pakopak cohort is here. They're going to hop right in, and yep, all 3 of these large targets are about to be at the mercy of Harmonic Convergence buffed up Cold One Spear Riders, 62-64 for stats, but they're doing the Warhammer thing where they just walk next to the Gorbals instead of surrounding them. Now the Gorbals stall for even just a moment. They turn and actually get some damage out. Enfeebling Foe countering Harmonic Convergence. Harmonic Convergence will wear out first, but the Troglodon snipe plus a net plus the Solar Engine is doing a lot of damage on the Great Brave Shaman of Shadows, so now the Troglodon's finally getting some of their work in as they damage the Beastman, Caster, and Leadership, which are both very important to Tim's strategy. But the Pakopok cohort get shredded meanwhile. Troglodon kills off the Beastman Lord, conveniently putting him back in the summoning pool. Thanks, Troglodon, you played into my trap, says Tim the Wilder. Charx does have a gold damage lead, and this is the first gold damage lead we've seen against Tim so far. In the other 2 games, he has gotten a lead early and held it the entire game. Yes, because he had one versus the Greenskins as well. Another Ruination of Cities. Let's see if the RNG is on point. No. Yes. Kind of. We take that overall. That's a 6, 7 out of 10, somewhere in there. RNG fest for that. But what is not 6 or 7 out of 10 is the situation Mazda Mundi is in, surrounded by halberds, centaurs harassing him, and 2 Gorbals beating the crap out of him. Annette holds one down, but guess what? There's another one, and he's looping around to the front. He's about to chop him. Some Mazda Mundi carve him up as the Red Crested Skinks jump in. Troglodon and the Solar Engine trying to get rid of this Gorbal. What is nice is if he shoots the Gorbal and actually gets the hits in, you can apply to that blinded. That might help, but Mazda Mundi is going to get sniped out. Looks like he only is 1,000 HP. As long as he's running away, he's presenting his backside constantly to the Gorbal, so his melee defense is even lower than 32. It's like 16. The Gorbal ain't going to miss. Shatters Mazda and kills him. Both sides have lost their lords at one point or another. Damage value is caught right back up. Tim has a mild lead, but at 4,800, 4,700, 100 is nothing. It does not matter. Corngors try and take a fight with the Cold One Spear Riders while the Gorbals fall back into their own halberds. Pretty smart stuff there. They were trying to track down those annoying kiting Troglodons, but they couldn't quite get to them. Now the Troglodons get to fire again, and it misses because the Gorbal does a sick somersault. Says, hey mom, watch this, and dives in. I haven't talked about the capture points at all because there's been too much violence, but capture points, Beastmen hold both the low grounds. Lizardmen technically hold the center, though I say technically because, like, no one's there. There is no one in that point. Everyone is running away or routing right now. Another Melkots is out, which means he's back, baby! Great Brave Shaman of Shadows gets summoned right back into the game. He says, I never left. You can't prove it. So the Beastmen get their leadership back. They get their magic back. They get their mojo back. 4 archers have lined up. They're firing at the skirmishers, but a bestowed on Solar Engines about to charge straight into them. Does have anti-infantry, has decent stats for clearing out stuff. More importantly, it has terror, so it can disrupt and tear out off these archers quite easily. More Corngors are getting spawned in, though, and I'm getting worried for Charx. Charx is getting decent damage value trades, right? The damage value has been pretty similar all game. Love that. We love that. The problem is he has no holding power and he has no pushing power. A lot of his money has been in skirmish skinks, artillery bastildons, feral troglodons, and then emergency Cold One Spear Riders. But all the emergency Cold One Spear Riders have been getting murdered, and they aren't here to like hold points. They were here to bail out Troglodons, or they were here to bail out Mazda Mundi, or they were here to bail out Troglodons again a second time, right? They're not here to take that point. They're not here to kill off the infantry. They're not here to gain battlefield control. They're here because Charx needed them in a moment of desperation. So he is having problems taking any momentum in this game. He's just dealing damage. So we'll see if in the late game he can transfer from damage to momentum. He's got to make that switch at some point. So I'm not saying he's out of the game just yet. I am throwing out that I'm concerned. also value that you're not going to see that Tim the Wilder / own goal, whatever you want to call him, isn't going to be racking up, is every missed shot from the Troglodyons is value Charx is losing, but it doesn't go on Tim's scoreboard. It's like if you kick the soccer ball out of the stadium and then the game just ends. It's not like, oh, it ended because we got a ton of points. It's like, nah, it ended because the other team kicked the fucking ball out of the stadium. So, yeah. Troglodon's moving in. They do provide terror, which is nice, and they're decently fast. They can chase down these archers, but they're incredibly squishy, as we saw before when that one got caught out in the Staggerfest 2008. We'll see if they want to overextend, but if they get too far out, I mean, Centaurs could get summoned in. Even non-armor piercing, just regular Centaurs surrounding a Troglodon will do very good damage. Very, very good damage on those guys. Skin cohorts get charged in the front by the Centaurs, and the archers have pivoted. They're turning and firing at the already wounded Troglodon. And is Charx even going to save up money to get Mazda back, or is he going to play the rest of this game without magic? He is saving up a good amount of supplies, but 1,300 could be anything. It is a Pakapa cohort, yeah. So he's going for more battlefield pressure than stopping and resummoning his Lord. So that will be a disadvantage for him for pretty much the rest of the game, because I really don't think he's going to stop and get Mazda if he hasn't right now. Like, that moment was the moment to get Mazda back if you're going to do it. If not, then commit to not having a Lord and just commit to bodies. It will mean the Beastmen have unfettered access to the Winds of Magic, and you can't counter them. No more nets for you or anything. Now, at least Mazda used his banishments. He used his Ruination of Cities, so it's not all bad. As one of the Troglodons gets routed off, Throwing Axe is doing a lot of damage here. And other Centaurs about to get rear charged by the Pakapa cohort. Not an ideal time for those Beastmen. But we do have archers, we have spears, we have Melkos Mystifying Miasma, so it's not like the Pakapa cohort are going to go uncontested in the center field. In fact, every time we've seen Charx summon the powerful Coldland Spear Riders, they're one and done. They shotgun into a fight, do some damage, and die nearly instantly. Point 3 is still held by the Beastmen. Point 2, the Lizardmen reclaimed it. And point 1, the Lizardmen are about to take it. So Charx is doing fine on the capture points. The capture points are actually probably pretty even. And Charx does take a almost 2,000 gold lead. That's a more significant lead. We're starting to feel pretty good about that. But again, I am still worried about his presence. Here we can see some Crocoscores getting summoned. That'll be nice. We have Skinks and stuff. That's fine. And it's not like Tim has amazing battlefield presence either. We have a lot of super wounded archers that are taking up unit slots, but more and more Centaurs are getting summoned in. And as we can see, the Pakapa cohort just got torn apart by various spears and halberds and Melkots and Feebling Foes, making them more squishy. So that's another expensive unit just out. For real units that exist, we have a Troglodon with 5 shots left and high HP. We have a Bastiladon with high HP and 6 shots left, a Skink that's about to rout, and a full health Croxagore. On the other side for the Beastmen, we have some full health Centaurs with throwing axes, a couple full health spears, like 3 of them, super wounded archers, and a Lord at 2/3 HP. So both sides are relatively haggard, but the Beastmen are going to be a lot better at like the domination part of the game. Charx's army would be better if he had infinite time to just kite and, you know, cycle charge with terror routing and shoot all of his ammo and all that stuff, but it doesn't seem to be the game we're playing, because the Troglodon is rampaging around very close to losing its leadership and routing where the Centaurs could just walk it off the map. I'm betting Charx is really hoping that that rampage wears off soon so we can path it through to safety, because it's almost to safety, but just not quite. Centaur is going to make sure those Saurus and Skink cohorts of Javelins route and stop firing. Tim did reclaim point 2, but in the process he lost point 3. Almost. A full house Centaur is routing everything down there. The hero Centaur is going to save point 3 for the Beastmen. We have a very close game on our hands. Own goal / Tim / whatever. Everybody has all these different names. He's brought that damage value difference up to 1,000 from 2,000 or 3,000 earlier. So that's a pretty brutal change for Charx. And you see what I've been talking about this whole time. Not to say I'm a hyper genius, because I'm more of a mega genius, if we're all being real, but we are seeing the problem. No shot he summoned Mazda this late. No way. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Like, Charx did tons of damage, but he just doesn't have like a Saurus push. He doesn't have a lot of Skinks, Feral Cold Ones, or anything like that. Like, he can't get the Beastmen out of here. He just kind of keeps, for a while he kept killing them, and then they kept coming back, and that was just the pattern over and over again. But Tim had the middle of the map, so as long as he kept coming back as fast as Charx could kill him, he could win, and he did win. And Charx just could never get that second wind to build up forces and really push Tim off the points and attrition out. And I think the Mazda summon is crazy. That Mazda summon at the very end was wild. Solar Engine, Trogonons did okay, Mazda did okay. We had some Red Crested Skinks that didn't get summoned, Source did alright. Golden Spear Riders just had to keep getting summoned to break apart problems. For Tim, the Gores and the boys, I mean, they took some points, man. Archer's got really good value. He didn't even summon his giant because he's a coward. Centaurs did fine. GG's. All right, Tim wins game 3. If you are tracking, that means he is up to $15. I did put the cap at 50, so we'd have to win 10 games in a row to get that. We'll see. But Hitman Hippo is here. Does Tim's run of terror end? Why would I fight you? Trucks absolutely suck. Curio. Impressive how the Solar Engine managed to absolutely demolish the only tree in 500 meters. That's funny. I'm way behind and just saw your butt talking about member only vids. I too wish YouTube didn't show me members only for other channels. It does regularly and I can't stop it. I don't want to know about stuff I can't watch. This is a YouTube problem, not a hummus problem. Fair. Kyle with the 1 membership. Thank you, sir. Hope you're doing well. If you're the Kyle I think you are, we've missed you. I don't want to assume all Kyles are the same, but there was a Kyle that used to pop in and donate a lot, which was dope, and we love that. And I hope you're doing well. I hope we haven't seen you for a while because you're having tons of fun doing other stuff. I hope it's not bad reasons we haven't seen you, like you lost internet or a gargoyle came and stole your computer. Beastman OP, we should give him the nerf pills? True. Human Boy, you read the End Times books, right? What's the name of Tyrion's zombie elves? The ones cursed by Cain. Oh, crap. Yeah, I read that. I don't remember what their faction was called, but they were just the ones opposing Malekith and Imric. The Malekith-Imric Alliance. Is that Hazel? Hazel... I can't pronounce what you typed, Awesome Rhino, but I get it. It's a mix of Cthulhu and Hazel. All right. BRB is these two set up. They're doing pick and bans and they'll set up their armies and stuff. I'll be right back. Yeah, new stuff coming to the channel. We'll have Witcher books lore video that I'll record today. Can't guarantee it'll come out soon. And then as for streams, I might stream tomorrow. I don't know. If I do, it'll be the Queek campaign part 5. Yeah, Queek campaign part 5. There's like CA announced that we're getting Blood Knight Sword and Shield and like Noblar Bolt Throwers, which by the way, I'm not complaining. This is not a complaint. It isn't a question. Why are the Ogre Kingdoms getting so much free shit? But then there's other factions that are like, please, my lord, I am so weak. Like, Ogre Kingdoms. All right, here's your DLC. You guys are SS plus tier. You know what? Noblar Flingers, just for you. You know what? Noblar Bolt Throwers, just for you. And it's like, I don't know. I know Slanesh is getting a DLC soon, but Slanesh is like, bro, what? Grand Cathay, honestly, still pretty small roster. Vampire Coast, Vampire Coast, Tomb Kings are both like, bro, what? The Vampire Counts are happy to get anything. They're like, thank you, my lord CA, for the Grave Guard with halberds. Might we request actually getting a fucking DLC someday? And CA's like, no. And then CA comes back, all right, Vampire Counts, I got you, fam. Oh, we're in the next DLC? No, but here's Blood Knight, Sword and Shield. Vampire Counts are like, please. My lord, I may not look a gift steed in the maw, but please, sire, I need sustenance. I need more than one fucking unit. I assume the bolt throw is for the castors. Oh, I actually have no idea. That's fair. I thought I read Noblar bolt thrower, but it could be, if it's a hobgoblin bolt thrower, then it's probably for the castors, right? Oh, I misread that, Scarbrand. Yeah, hobgoblin, that's for castors. That's lit. You know what? That's good. That's good. I have no complaints. I misread it. I misread it. Anyway, where I was going with that, I got distracted by the free LC stuff. They posted that, so I have never seen them release free LC without a patch. Like, here's a patch with 2 free LC units and nothing else. So I'm presuming patch 6.2 will have those. And the fact that they announced them, it's like, okay, well, let's look at this realistically. There's the Tides of Torment, the DLC, that's coming out this summer. And in CA speak, that probably means late August. Like, realistically, if this shit was coming out in June, you would have had way more than that teaser trailer. Way more. And we don't even have it confirmed who the third faction is. It's just heavily rumored to be High Elves. But, like, you would have heard a lot more about the units, who's the High Elf Lord, like, what's going on. So that shit's not coming in June. I would argue it's not coming in July. So it's probably in August. Right? So let's assume that. Tides of Torment's coming in August. You know there has to be a patch 6.2 that comes out with these Blood Knights and Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower. So when's that going to come out? Well, probably not in July. Because otherwise they would just lump those units into the DLC. Like, that's pointless. That is literally pointless to do a balance patch that close to a DLC that's going to break your balance patch. So the balance patch is probably coming in June. Well, if it's coming in June, are we thinking late June? No, that'd be a little weird to mention in the Skulls event. Hey, over a month from now, we'll give you 2 free units. That's not worth it. Like, that's not a worthwhile announcement for that far out. So my guess is this shit's early June. So either next week or the week after, I'm suspecting there will be a patch. And then I'll do more multiplayer streaming. But for now, the meta is pretty stale and there's not a lot of people playing. So I'm not going to force it. I'm just like making videos, doing some more off-brand streams, some more fun content that I just think is creative and interesting. But not really focusing too hard on trying to generate interest out of nothing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, if people aren't into it, I'm not going to make content people aren't into. I'm just going to, like, play Oblivion instead of streaming. And I mean, we streamed 3 times last week. We're streaming twice this week. So it's not like I've gone anywhere, but it's not. It's also, when the game is, like, on fire and every video I make gets a ton of viewership and we're getting a ton of subscribers and stuff, then, like, pretty much if I'm not working, I'll be streaming. Which we're not in that case now. So I've been blasting through Oblivion. Jokes on counts. The next DLC is Lizards versus Skaven. Trogdor? I'm here for it. Prophet and the Warlock Part 2. Xenomorph's Wrath. Dude, I'm a Skaven apologist, and the Skaven are like the second most complete roster in this whole game, dude. Like, there's greenskins and then there's Skaven, and everybody else needs DLCs more. Nah, Empire. Like, you could do any order of greenskins, Empire, and Skaven are all. CA has done this a ton. They can't complain anymore, kind of thing. And I want Scott Bloodtail and I want Thankwall, and they should be in the game for sure. But I don't honestly think Skaven need a whole DLC. If they want to give us one, sure, I have some units I could suggest. But for the health of the game, I don't want a Skaven DLC. I want a Vampire Counts DLC, dude. They need some more units. They need some different units, not just like, here's another tool that helps you blob. Here's another slow infantry. It's like, nah, we need some Berserker type infantry for Vampire Counts. We need some more single entity monsters that can kill other single entities. Because right now, like, Vampire counts losing blob fights is horrible to watch and also horrible to watch. And I did mean that in two different ways. Listen, this faction, the only thing they can do is blob. Yeah, but they lose the blob fight to some other blob factions. Okay. Is the game at least interesting? No, it's terrible. Oh, okay. And Bretonia. Vampire Counts, Bretonia, Tomb Kings, Vampire Counts, yeah. Tides of Torment. You hope the theme goes with Black Arcs? Maybe. I mean, the Dark Elves could use it too, for sure. I've heard it rumored it's High Elves. Tomb Kings doesn't need anything. Needs anything and doesn't combust in a single fire spell? Yeah, Rhino. And I know, like, some tabletop people. Hey, you went Cathay. We have Cathay Corn. I got distracted by talking to you interesting folks instead of actually leaving. Okay. Jepardu just sent me a Domination list. So, the most first place finishes in Domination at the moment for total tavern CA major event medal table. Houseplant got 4 first places. Solisora also has 4 first places. Tim the Wilder has 1 first place. For second place, Tim the Wilder has 6 second place finishes. Houseplant has 2. Everybody else has 1 or 0. So when I said Tim is a perpetual second place, there's your boy. 6 second place finishes. Next highest is 2. Empire will get 1 more DLC since Vinland has literally been in the game and not added Boris. Patrick Walker, I think another Empire DLC will sell well. I don't know. I just like, as a video game person, right? I'm not about the lore, tabletop, or company, like monetary stuff. Just thinking about like the health of the video game. Empire does not need another fucking DLC. There are so many factions that are way behind. But yeah, if you're just trying to like sell stuff, then for sure, like you could do a Midland one that'd be popular. Thanquil plus a bunch of the End Times Skaven units that aren't in the game. Storm Fiends, Thanquil. Ska Bloodtail is the legendary hero. And then you could have there's this warp catapult thing that like I read the books of the Empire Black Plague Omnibus. There was like this catapult that fired a giant glass orb, and when it shattered, it made like a black hole of warpstone power, and it like sucked in everything around it and crumpled them. And then there's, before Clan Moulder won the Skaven Civil War, there was another one, Clan Verms. So you had rat ogres were competing with giant scorpions called, I think they were death stingers, like honestly something that plain. But there were giant black scorpions that used to fill the role rat ogres did until Clan Moulder like outperformed Clan Verms enough that they just kind of pushed them out of the Skaven economy. But you could have death stingers. You could have, they're not single entities, like they're rat ogres, so they'd be monstrous infantry, right? There's 6 or 7 of them in a unit. So that, the Dreadquake Mortar that the Skaven had, you could just literally copy paste the Dreadquake Mortar animations for when it hits, just turn the little mushroom cloud green and you have it there. Like we said, Thanquil, Storm Fiends, and then, I don't know, make up a couple units. I have a video somewhere on this channel. I have 10 billion videos. It's impossible to find anything. But whatever. Also, I'm not popular enough to be in YouTube's zeitgeist yet. So if you type in like, literally, I can type in exactly what my video title is and it'll still come up with a Turin video that's remotely similar. Like I'm like, Human Boy, yes, yes, Skaven versus High Elves. And it goes, got it, got it. What about Turin's High Elves versus Vampire Coast from Warhammer 2? And I'm like, fuck you, YouTube. I get it. He's bigger than me. I understand. Anyway, we're in the game. Let's shut up about me and shut up more about Warhammer 3. Grand Cathay for Tim the Wilder. He did type to me and said that Grand Cathay is one of the worst factions in Domination, but he's going to power flex on this fool. He doesn't respect Hitman Hippo in the slightest. So we'll see how that goes. We have some Peasant Horsemen, Jade Warrior, Peasant Longspear front line, moving up with Peasant Archers and Iron Hail Gunners, which Hitman Hippo is playing with fire, putting his Bloodthirster in front of the Iron Hails. Dodge all you want, but that volume of fire at this close of range, you're going to take some damage. So yeah, I lost a couple hundred HP there. Definitely not that bad. Really good dodging, but I don't think he needed to be there. That was a little disrespectful. Then we have a Lord Magistrate, shockingly enough. Melee defense and melee attack buffs for everybody around him. We have Jade Warriors and Peasant Longspears moving forward. On the other side, 4 Khorne. So while Grand Cathay summoned an impressive 22 units in a just wall of a front line, Khorne went much more elite. With only 11 units, we have the Skull Taker on his Skull Throne. His little skull cycle. With Bloody Onslaught, Locus of Fury, then his Slayer Sword. So he is buffed out. We have Khorne Gores over here, a couple Skirmish Cav, a Bloodthirster, and then more Khorne Gores and Marauders of Khorne on the high ground. So a very expensive 2 single entities between Skull Taker fully kitted out and a Bloodthirster. That's where all of Hitman Hippo's money's going. I don't know why he fully kitted out Skull Taker. Like, it's cool, it's hype that he did that, but I don't think a lot of these are even worth it, to be honest. I guess he can get more than 40 kills pretty easily, so we can get that armor and missile resistance. You can get Hellblade pretty easily in Domination. It's not that hard to get 80 kills. I guess. We'll see if it's worth it. He's also building up a ton more supplies as well, so I wonder what's scheming in that hippo head of his. Quality might be decreasing towards the release, though. How long do you think we'll keep getting new content? Soon or to stop, or is it here to stay? I have no insider information on this. This is purely speculation. CA has not talked to me about this at all. I am guessing Tides of Torment is the second to last one. I personally would guess that Tides of Torment is going to come out, and then they'll get something out around Christmas or early next year, and probably call it good and switch over to the next main game. Because they haven't had a main game in a while, right? Besides Warhammer 3. They had Pharaoh, but that was one of their, like, half-assed games. And not all their half-assed games are bad, but there's games that are, like, really small and definitely not, like, $60 or $70 price point range, right? They're, like, Thrones of Britannia kind of thing. Pharaoh, Troy. Those games weren't, like, mainstays. Like, Three Kingdoms was a mainstay one. Warhammer, Medieval, Shogun. Like, those games are just bigger. They get a ton of DLC. They last a long time. That kind of stuff. So, I'm suspecting we get this DLC and one more. Anything after that would surprise me. I'm not happy about thinking that, but that is what I think. Are we watching this as a tournament? It is sort of a tournament. It's a King of the Hill, where RTK's own goal, / Tim the Wilder, whatever you want to call him, is currently at the top of our leaderboard. So we put him on top of the hill. Every time he wins, he gets $5. But if anybody beats him, he gets nothing, and they get $15. So just kind of a mini little Domination hype thing. So far, he has 3 wins over pretty fearsome opponents, too. Charix, Inkars, Sipa. He's currently fighting Hitman Hippo. And Hippo has built up an insane amount of supplies. What is his goal? I have no idea why he has 3,800 supplies and he's just AFK. I know why Tim's AFK. Tim's just doing that thing he does where he builds up a ton of forces and walks slowly forward. Plus, he has 2 control points with the defensive faction, so he's setting up a defensive formation with a lot of ranged pressure and spells, and he's ready to go. I have no idea what Khorne is scheming with 4,000 supplies in the tank. Dogs of War DLC won't happen? I don't think so. I personally think the last DLC will be End Times. Like, End Times themed. Remember we were promised the DLC every quarter and Slanesh was this time last year? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Oh, yeah, that's definitely why CA stopped releasing those maps, those road maps, because they couldn't keep up with them and then people would criticize them when they missed it. All right. Skull Taker takes charge with Peasant Horsemen. Then there's Peasant Long Spears that are going to get plowed into by the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne. And then they run away. Neither side really wants to engage just yet, but Khorne will run out of time. Eventually, those tickets will tick up far enough that he'll have to spend 5,000 supplies. I'm mad. Okay, he summoned something. What did he summon? Bloodletters. 2 bloodletters. 3 bloodletters. And Khorngors. 4 bloodletters? Do I see 4 bloodletters? No. All right, we have 3 bloodletters of Khorne, still 2,800 funds, down to 2,100. More Khorngors. So we just had a crazy delayed summon. It looks like he wanted to wait and summon stuff to specifically counter whatever Tim had on the field. So like bloodletters for armored infantry. But if he didn't spam armored infantry, maybe he'd go with like, I don't know, like Skull Reapers, those light infantry ones. Then Chaos Furies of Khorne, an Exalted Bloodletter, and I imagine we'll get 1 more Chaos Fury to round it out, and that'll probably be it. So he's got a nearly full surround now. These Marauders and Khorngors have marched all the way around the map to flank Grand Cathay. And then we have a new front line of Bloodletters and Exalted Bloodletters marching straight at them. We'll see how that goes. This is what gets tricky about advancing through this area, though, is this does mean you're going to present a flank to spawn points. So then, like, once these units engage, Grand Cathay can summon stuff here and trap you in. Now, Grand Cathay isn't the best faction for trapping people. A lot of their units are slow and defensive in nature, so it's not like they have anything that can crazy obliterate your backline, like Grail Knights, but Cathay! That's not going to happen. But still, presenting your backside to a spawn point is pretty rough. We can see Hippo seems to be stalling out a little bit, waiting for his other side to get in position, sure. Right? I know he's not just being an idiot, but I do imagine there's some uncomfortableness with wanting to extend when there is that spawn point. Chaos Furies and Onyx Croman going to trade about 50-50, but Bloody Onslaught onto the Croman from Skull Taker just below does help the Chaos Furies of Khorne win that battle more decisively, though they might just demonic instability crumble right after the Onyx Croman are dead, because once they're out of melee, they'll lose the leadership and then just die on their own. It is quite possible that happens, but Totem of Endless Bloodletting and Lord Nearby keeps it in the game. Grand Cathay's Peasant Archers have moved up. They're poking at the Bloodletters somewhat for free, but Peasant Archers don't exactly do that much damage, so the Bloodletters are going to be fine. More Bloodletters, Exalted Bloodletters are getting summoned, and still, Khorne is not engaged. We are 8 minutes into the game. The total damage value is under 2,000. Damn you, slow build-up strategy. There are so many blue forces out there. Yeah, Tim's nearly summoned capped out. I mean, they both are. They both have, well, Tim has 4, Hippo has 3 units in the reserve. He now has 2 units in the reserve. So Khorne's got to go soon, because eventually he's going to have all of his units on the field, and then he has literally nothing else he can add while Grand Cathay can keep stacking up power. Bloodthirster is flying in first. No Iron Hails are in position to delete this guy. Here comes the battle. Is that a comet or is that a lightning bolt? That is a lightning bolt on some Khorngors. Point 2 is taken by Khorne, so Cathay is going to have to eventually do enough damage to take space on the battlefield, which is very hard for Cathay to do. But currently, Khorne will win on tickets if everything remains the same. Celestial Lion summons in, dives behind the Bloodthirster, and is going to get some damage out. There's not a lot of support for him as 2 Chaos Furies of Khorne get obliterated by a mix of ranged fire and Onyx Croman support. We have some Khorngors from Hitman Hippo just sitting on a Vanguard point. I don't know if that's intentional, like he's stopping any cavalry from spawning there, because they would just spawn into halberds, or if that's, you know, a mistake, but I don't really know. Meanwhile, on the ground, we do have some Khorngors. We have some Bloodletters getting through the Jade Warrior halberds. Over here, we have other Bloodletters ripping apart Jade Warriors. And even the defensive Jade Warriors don't stand much of a chance against Bloodletters, much less Exalted Bloodletters, wherever those guys are. But basic Bloodletters still tear through Jade Warriors. It'll take a little bit, but not that long. Exalted Bloodletters getting through, and Khorne's getting a lot of kills, which I imagine means there will be a Sword of Khorne somewhere soonish. There's just so many infantry on the field that it is definitely worth it to use a Sword of Khorne at some point. Something just happened. The enemy stronghold will soon be yours. What stronghold? What the fuck are you... What are you talking about? Okay, I don't know what that was about. That was weird. Somebody's playing a siege battle underneath this map, and I am alarmed. We are having Khorngor starting to break. Exalted Bloodletters. Demonic instability crumbling at just around half HP. That is insane. Okay, now they're closer to a third, but still, it is rough to lose something demonic instability crumbling. Something that elite to demonic instability crumbling that early on. Damage value is very even, but I think that's a little deceptive. One side is demonic, so that means, you know, Hippo's units are killing themselves off at 1/3 HP, apparently. And there's the Sword of Khorne in the background. Kills an entire Iron Hail Gunner and almost all of a Peasant Archer. Pretty brutal stuff, as the Iron Hail Gunner somehow just rallies through that. They didn't even rout. They're like, nah, we're good. We're good, fam. Bloodletters are gone. Fleshhound's getting ripped apart, and the Chaos Furies might dive into the backline, try and shut down some of this range. But other range is all doing just fine. Skulltaker is continuing to rampage through the back. And more Bloodletters. Getting hit with a fearsome roar from the Celestial Lion somewhere. I don't know where the Celestial Lion is. I've lost him. There he is. He's over there, just being a good mensch. Iron Hail Gunners turn and try and fire at various amounts of Bloodletters, but that does allow Skulltaker to get into them. The range unit's not focusing him down just yet. They're a little busy with other stuff. Tickets are getting very close, but they're also nearing 1,000, and Khorne does have 2 of the points. So as long as Khorne just forces this melee to happen forever, it doesn't actually matter if they win it or lose it. They just have to keep Grand Cathay here and not taking any other points anywhere else. Iron Hail Gunners get to safety and start to fire up into them. Hippo is taking a gold damage value lead and a ticket lead. So I don't know. And Grand Cathay is a mortal faction. So while the demonic units killing themselves at 2/3 HP and whatever is pretty bad, what is nice is at least they're able to summon again. While Tim, to get any of his troops back, has to wait for these guys to crawl their slow asses off the battlefield, or at least rally so we can desummon them and summon someone else. But you can see he's spending most of his funds on getting back Onyx Croman, because Onyx Croman are useful. They can Vanguard deploy, and they fly immediately into the fight, demonic instability crumble, and then get back into that summon pool. So you can notice that both sides are summoning their demonic units at this point in the game, rather than their mortal ones. I also haven't seen a lot of Marauders of Khorne or anything coming into the battle either. Damage value tips into Khorne's favor. Tickets are also up in Khorne's favor a little bit. Skulltaker still full HP and disrupting these Iron Hail Gunners. Meanwhile, Peasant long spears trying to fight back against the Bloodthirster. But Khorne is running out of gas in some parts. We're getting terror routes away from all these Marauders and Khorngors. These Exalted Bloodletters look like they're about to demonic instability crumble any second now. And Khorne is just about gassed out. Grand Cathay isn't looking amazing either, but at least their pitiful peasants can crawl back to the front line and take these points when they need to. A second Sword of Khorne is down, taking out 2 Peasant long spears and leaving the Bloodthirster all alone, though he is in front of an Iron Hail Gunner that has 90 out of 90 models. With that little HP, they didn't lose a single one, so they are 100% damage capacity. They do as much damage as a full HP version of the same unit, and they are obliterating the Bloodthirster in a big play for Tim the Wilder. If he is going to win this game, that is going to be a key moment. This guy getting 1,500 value, killing that guy, that whole Bloodthirster all by themselves. Skulltaker, honestly a big mistake not shutting down that Iron Hail Gunner, because if you do any damage to it, it's so injured it's going to lose models instantly. Like on the charge, it would lose maybe 20 models. The Skulltaker ends up nearby them, but ends up charging those Jade Warriors instead, and he's even going to rout that 80 out of 90 model unit that took out his whole Bloodthirster. But it is not over for Khorne. Tim caught right back up on the damage value, but that does not matter as much as the tickets. This might be the first game today that's decided purely on tickets. The battle is still very much going, but Khorne is getting dangerously close to a capture point victory. Point 1 is secure, and point 2 is being fought over. And Man Hippo throwing Bloodletters and Khorngors onto that point, and the wounded Grand Cathay troops can't quite take it back, and the 2 full health Onyx Croman are flying units. They contribute nothing to the capture weight. We did have some Jade Lancers rally up here. These other ones are shattered, but these guys rallied. They'll capture incredibly slowly for how damaged they are. I don't legitimately know how Grand Cathay can get any momentum back. Skulltaker is still full HP, harassing units over here. Cathay is routing off a lot of stuff, and sure, Khorne is depleted across the battlefield, but they have units where it counts. Point 2 and then point 1, there's not enough Grand Cathay oomph to take it back yet, but we do have 2 wounded cavalry, now both getting over there to try and do some capturing. Jade Warrior Halberds are walking Khorne units off the map, but Chaos Furies are summoned in just to dive the Peasant Horsemen and get rid of them, it looks like, but then they turn. They don't want to get rear attacked by the Onyx Croman, so I guess they'll take them out. I suppose that is wise. Celestial Lion and these Peasant Long Spears doing their best to get rid of the guys on point 2. It's really not working out. Point 1 is the only hope for Grand Cathay to stall out this game, and they get more and more routing troops all routing onto the point so that when they rally, and they will, when they rally, they'll contribute that capture weight that will save this game for Tim, quite possibly, as the Chaos Fury kills a 2v1 against Onyx Chroman. One of the Onyx Chroman was crazy damage, so it's not that shocking, but Tim is going to capture this point. Now he needs a triple cap. He needs a triple cap to win, but he has to at least, why I've emphasized this so much is he has to slow the bleeding. There we go. So now he has 82 seconds to take point 2 somehow from Corrin. But Corrin on the other side is making his own play. He's trying to take point 3. And again, if he gets a double cap at any point, this game is just going to be over because it'll take too long to capture anything from Corrin. Grand Cathay needs a triple cap to win. But yeah, anyway, the double cap at least stopped the bleeding, gave them a lot more time because they gave them a minute and a half instead of 40 seconds to get in here and do something. Big dive onto all of these units. Celestial Roar was lowering the leadership of some of these guys. The Celestial Lion is in here as well. We have some Marauders of Corrin. We have some Bloodletters or Exalted Bloodletters, just basic Bloodletters. Maybe you can shock damage them out, but there's really not a lot of Grand Cathay HP here that can do a lot of killing. 35, there we go, 35 seconds left until this game is over. Corrin is still not able to take point 3 from Grand Cathay, but they do summon more units, just sprint at the point, and Tim is not able to do the same. He has Peasant Long Spears, but they're not going to get anywhere in time. It looks like his reign is over. 3 wins, 1 loss. The king is dead. It looks like Hitman Hippo will be his slayer. Onyx Chroman are dead and gone. Boom, bam, boom. Corn victory. Yeah. The king is dead. It's true. The king is dead. I'm just thinking of some of the values. I don't expect anything on Grand Cathay to be too crazy, just because it's a big Harmony roster. But yeah, that Iron Heel Gunner did insane work. Jade Lancers did all right. Onyx Chroman got summoned in a ton of times, so of course they got value. They got summoned in a ton of times. Skull Taker was a constant nuisance in the background. Bloodthirster got massacred. And then Korngor's Marauders were just summoned in as much as possible to keep bodies on points. Bloodthirsters did fine. Bloodletters, sorry. Bloodhounds of Corn, I didn't see them too often, but they were around. Chaos Furies got resummoned over and over. All right. Tim is posting to me how I am a big pink, poopy stinky, and he says I suck. So that's nice. Okie dokie. Tim is dead. Stream is done. Victory to the world. All right, sorry. I'm typing to the players. That was all I had planned. Yeah, I don't know. One second. All right, might have more games. Hold on. Everybody just calm down. Okay. It sounds like Hippo is fine to just fight some people, but I'm letting him know that, like, anybody fighting him at this point is not fighting for money. Hippo got the bounty. So the king died. Tim got 3 wins in a row, accrued up to $15, and then Hippo slayed him, stealing that money, which I will give him as a Steam gift card later. I'll write myself a note to do that. Anyone who fights him after this point is just fighting for fun. Now, remember before last game when I said I was going to go and then I got distracted talking to all you people? Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go get a beverage. So I'll be back. I am the host. I hope that doesn't break anything. Tim posted a list of maps, so I'm going to go find that list of maps now. Okay, we just played Battle for Itza. He wanted to do Black Ark. All right, so it looks like we have 2 games left. We have Scarbrand versus Hippo, and then whoever wins that is going to go fight Berserk. And then we'll end the stream. But if you were just here for, like, the money subplot, then Tim was defeated. Hitman Hippo won that. FFA, I don't know if I have the heart in me for an FFA. Grace and I got to go run errands. Oh, yeah, Martinius exists. Okay, I'm gonna go get a beverage. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. God. All right, I'm back. Calm down. I bumped the mic with my butt. That's my bad. My lord, the people demand an FFA. We might do one FFA. Maybe. I can't guarantee it. I gotta run errands with the lady. It depends how long these Dom games go. Chat, I finished Star Wars Rebels. I started Andor. So if you don't want massive Andor spoilers, leave now. That's a joke. Don't leave. So I don't really understand it, because the show started with the titular character, Andor, and he said, "It's me, Andor," and then he fought Darth Vader with a lightsaber, and I'm confused. Show sucks. I don't want to watch it. No, I did start it. I'm on episode 3, meaning I've watched episode 2. I haven't watched any 3. It's good. It's not what I expected, though. I had some spoilers because I didn't think I was going to watch this show. So when season 1 came out, I listened to one of my favorite channels on YouTube, like, covered it. So when I don't intend on watching a show or a movie, I watch certain channels that go over it. And sometimes there's negative channels that like to shit on things, and I think that's funny. Sometimes there's channels that like praise things and go really in depth, and then that's just cool. So if I don't intend on watching it, it's a nice way to like kind of get the plot while I'm at work, and you're like, okay, I got the bare bones of it, but I don't have to go spend my time on it. Especially shows that are super long. Like I did that for One Piece. I ain't watching One Piece. People tell me it's really good, and I'm like, it's too many episodes. It does not matter how good it is. I don't have time. Anyway, I had season 1 spoiled for me, and I'm still getting surprised by what's going on. Like, I thought different stuff would be happening, but it's weird. I really like it, though. I have nothing negative to say about it. It is weird, though, because I have a compliment for it that doesn't sound like a compliment. Nothing has happened, but the episodes go fast. You know, like if I had to summarize the plot of what was going on so far, and I'm not going to because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm making this up. This is not real. Where it's like, oh yeah, in that 50-minute episode, Mr. Andor went he went to the grocery store and then he came home and he took a nap. Wow, not that much happened in that 50-minute episode, but like it flew by. So it must not have been bad, you know? Because there's shit that drags where you're like, oh my God, just end or get on with it or whatever. It's like not that much happens that I could put in a bullet point outline. But it's apparently engrossing because it literally feels like these 50-minute episodes like 10 minutes. Like when the credits come up, I'm always surprised. I'm like, what? Credits? How? And you look at the clock and you're like, Jesus Christ. It's late. So, yeah, it's good. If you take Andor, what's SW6? Start with 6. You have a great cohesive story and it was written backwards. Awesome Rhino, is SW start with 6? Or what are you saying? What words are you using? The anime for One Piece is slow as fuck. Better reading the manga. Neutral Guy, is this tying back into earlier? You said you don't read much, but you read a ton of manga. Star Wars Episode 6. Oh. Gotcha. I got you, Awesome Rhino. Dude, I really liked Rogue One. I was skeptical of Rogue One. When it first came out, I was like, and this was proven wrong. This was my opinion before I saw it. But when Rogue One came out, I was like, this is some sort of Disney cash grab thing, because like they can't make any real characters and they don't have the balls to kill them off. But it's like you can't go steal the Death Star plans with like people that'll be alive later. No one makes it out of there. And then they did. They made really cool, engaging characters that I liked a lot, and then it killed all of them. And I'm like, wow, hats off to you, Disney. I didn't think you had the balls. You proved me wrong. That shit was fire. I really liked Rogue One. Neutral Guy, I believe you. You can stop buying whenever you want. Definitely not a problem. Then they made Rey Skywalker. Dude, I am not a fan of most Disney Star Wars, but I will give them credit when they deserve it. So far, Andor has been great. Rogue One was lit. I didn't watch The Mandalorian, but people I trust tell me it's bad. And some people like it. Some people like that one. I'm not pretending that one is universally hated, but the people who like what I like have told me they didn't like it. So I'm like, all right, it's probably not for me. I'm going to skip it. I did not. Okay, I've given this rant many times, but I'm seeing a lot of different names in chat, so you probably haven't heard this before. You want to know what kind of piece of shit nerd I am? And I acknowledge I'm a piece of shit. You want to know what kind of piece of shit nerd I am? I didn't watch the sequel movies. I didn't watch all 3. I watched the first one, and here's where the sequels lost me. Now, I acknowledge I'm a piece of shit. So, building the Death Star bankrupted the Empire, pretty much, and building the second one was like their last ditch attempt at like they were going to finish that construction and use it to hold the banking clans hostage so they didn't have to pay back their debts. Like it took all of the known galaxy's money to build 1.5 Death Stars, right? Where the hell did the Nazi moon party get enough money to build a bigger, better, badder Death Star when all of the galaxy could barely fund 1.5? Where did the moon Nazis get that kind of economic funding? And where did they get the infrastructure to build such a thing on that planet? That would take multiple planets worth of resources, expertise, and skill transporting all those things. You're saying the New Republic never knew that thing existed? Like, they didn't know this new empire existed? You can't do that much stuff on that scale in the black market. You just can't. And the thing was in direct sight of New Republic planets. They didn't even have to move it to get it into range of that, if I remember correctly. So what, you don't have fucking telescopes? You don't have fucking telescopes? You have spaceships that can fly around. You can't notice when there's a whole bunch of freight moving towards a fucking moon owned by Nazis. The economics don't work. And that's why I didn't like the Star Wars sequels, is because the economics didn't work. Because I'm that kind of nerd, and I acknowledge I'm wrong. I acknowledge that that's not the point of the space flashy sword movie. People show up for the space flashy swords, and I'm an economics asshole. But that's the kind of nerd I am. I know that. I know these movies aren't gonna be for me, so I didn't watch them after the first one. Why is it called Rogue One and not just Rogue? Are we gonna get Rogue 2? Based, Freaka. Based. Also, hey Freaka, how you doing? Been a while. Mandalorian season 1 was good. Get ways to that. Space Magic. Hey, on goal. You had a good run today, dude. A pretty hard gambit. You won 3 games and lost to the 4th one in a very, very close game. Love to have you. All right, for the game in front of us, enough ranting about Star Wars. We have Hitman Hippo on High Elves with a Noble Tyrion, 2 Tyrannok Chariots, double Flamespire Phoenix, and then Illyrian Reaver Archers, including the Heralds of the Wind. On the other side for Scarbrand, this time he's on Khorne, not Hippo. We have Forsaken, Khorngor's Chaos Warriors to start us off. And then we do have Skulltaker, again on his throne, again, pretty stacked out. He has his Cloak of Skulls, Bloody Onslaught, Total Bends, Bloodletting. So pretty stacked out. I think we're about to get a bombing run soon, as the Flamespire Phoenixes just loom over expensive Chaos Warriors of Khorne.
Fight the beast in the air!
I got distracted by chat. I'm gonna get distracted by chat again. They could have just said they found the Star Forge from Knights of the Old Republic, would have made sense, and us Knights of the Old Republic fans would have lost our minds. True. All right. Tyrion the Noble and both Flamespire Phoenixes try and land on Skulltaker, and Skulltaker says lol, no, and just drives away, taking very little damage. Tyrannok Chariots charging into Chaos Warriors of Khorne actually take more damage than they deal, so a rough start here for the High Elves on that front. Overall, the High Elves are getting some nice little poke damage out. I mean, their Illyrian Reavers are just kiting back away from Khorngors. Let's watch them get shot. Dun, 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 dun. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that little arrow fire. Ryan G with the $5 donation. I will read it when there is a lull, but there is a lot to do right now, so I'm sorry. What do you think of the economics of the Confederacy of Independent Systems? That at least made more sense, because the banking clans could do legitimate business with them. I just said I wasn't going to get distracted. Okay, the banking clans could do legitimate business with them, and then they funneled those goods and resources into the Republic through corrupt and black market means, but they relabeled them. So it was like money laundering, but it was with goods. So the banking clans legitimately bought things from them and legitimately sold them as a middleman. That was a real thing. And also, Palpatine / Sidious was allowing the banking clans to get away with that by persuading the Senate to allow them to exploit that loophole over and over again, because he was funding the Separatists because he wanted the war to happen. So that one at least makes a little more sense. It's not explained very well in the movies, but books later clean that up. I don't know how the books are going to clean up the space Nazis somehow afforded something the whole galaxy couldn't. Anyway, I digress. We need to focus on that. There's a video game going on right now. Bloodhounds of Khorne get wrapped up in Illyrian Reavers with a 2v1 from hell. They are not going anywhere, and their demonic instability crumbling is soon going to get them out of that situation, maybe not in a way they would prefer. Meanwhile, the Tyrannok Chariots charge straight into those Chaos Warriors of Khorne, but that heavy armor is helping them quite a lot against the non-armor-piercing weapon strength of the Tyrannok Chariots, who are diving deep. At least they're getting through those guys without taking too much damage. That is something, but they're not actually killing anything either, so kind of not much going on. Okay, I can rant about Star Wars and then I can't read the $5 donation. That's rude. You know what? I'm going to focus on Ryan G right now. This is Ryan G's time. You're not wrong. It's actually a valid complaint. One of the biggest issues of the sequel trilogy is that you're even thinking of things like this. Yes. Because if it was like really, really good, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of dumb, but it's overall good. But if it's bad, then I don't care. Gorgor's charging into the Noble. The Noble appears to just be toying with them and instantly runs away as the Flamespire Phoenixes come over. Do they have the poops? They have the poops. Get shit on, nerd. Literally. Somehow the funding has returned. Will? I love that. I love that. That's great. Anyway, I do need to focus, you guys. You can't keep being so interesting and smart and handsome. Lion Chariots of Krace are coming out. Looks like Hippo is going for the all chariots all day strategy, as he does have a nearly 2-to-1 gold advantage, and now he's starting to summon in some Rangers. Khorne has a triple cap, which is why he needs to start summoning in Rangers. He needs something to actually take the points after he cleans up the infantry. And Khorne did summon Minotaurs on the low ground. Skulltaker is riding back up to the main fight. It looks like he's not enjoying his time on the low ground. He wants to help out his troops up here, but it looks like Tyrion and the Noble are rotating at the same point in time, so they are trying to mirror him. Skulltaker has some decent AoE buffs for his troops, plus Bloody Onslaught can really help kill an elite unit or something. But Tyrion and the Noble just want to duel him 1v1. He's a decent duelist, but like Tyrion's a little bit better. Yeah, Tyrion's a bit better than Skulltaker. My main complaints with Skulltaker is his lack of mobility. True mobility, because he's like fast on the ground, but his mounts don't have a ton of mass, so he's pretty easy to lock up. And then can't fly, obviously. Not that everyone should fly, I'm just saying he doesn't have great mobility, so those duelist stats can largely be ignored, but yeah. Tyrion has good enough duelist stats that he can 1v1 Skulltaker. Not a lot of characters can. Skirmish Cav throw themselves into a very bad situation, but they were doing that to bail Skulltaker out as he tries to get back to his infantry, because once he gets back into his own infantry, he applies those nice buffs, but also he has buffs against Tyrion, like, you know, okay, come fight me in my buffed up Khorne Gores, and Tyrion might not want that, so the Skirmish Cav had to die just so that Skulltaker could get to a safer position, and now the Flamespire Phoenixes and Tyrion can't just dive him for free. Khorne still has a triple cap, which is a big problem for the High Elves. They're getting a ton of damage out. Skarbrand is equalizing it a bit. He's gone from being 2-to-1 down, now just 1,500 behind, which is not nothing, but he still has a triple cap, and the High Elves are nowhere close to pushing him off yet. They are almost making headway on 1 out of 3 points, and they need at least a double cap if they're going to win on points. So we'll see. They are still capturing stuff for now, but there's a lot of Khorne bodies that are pathing straight here. So soon they're actually going to lose that capture advantage, and once again Skulltaker is under threat. Tyrion dives into him, gets a little bit of damage, and the Skulltaker is just going to go towards his Minotaurs, who countercharge back towards him. So it's all a bait, and it looks like the High Elves actually realize that. Hippo pulls out, but you can see the problem we just talked about. Khorne didn't even lose this point, and they're starting to recapture it, so the High Elves are back to square one, and Skarbrand continues to equalize the stats. Plus, the High Elves' early strategy was heavily around these chariots, and as things gets more confused and crazy, the chariots micro dips a little bit, so then they'll get stuck in melee combat for longer and actually take damage. Plus, as we get Minotaurs added to the fray, now there's mass that can stop them from just cycle charging for free. So it gets more, as the battle gets more and more intertwined, it's more and more complicated for the chariots to keep doing what they're doing. So Hitman Hippo's lead was kind of based off of a certain situation that is now gone. Chaos Warhounds of Khorne, plus these Marauders with dual weapons, all trying to support Skulltaker, and the Minotaurs come back into the fight. That's pretty huge. I was going to say that that's not nearly enough to keep this guy alive, but Minotaurs should do good work onto the Phoenixes. Phoenixes do okay into Skulltaker. Their magic damage goes through his physical resistance, and he doesn't actually have fire resistance, while their fire resistance is very good against his fire attacks. But they don't do that much damage, and he is tanky enough, with decent enough melee stats and self-healing, that he should be able to withstand it till the Minotaurs get there and properly save him. But the Flamespire Phoenix is starting to get damage out, because I forget how low his melee defense is on his motorbike. That's why I generally prefer him on his Juggernaut. In Domination, it's clear the players like the healing, because games are generally a little bit longer than land battles, so there's a lot more time to get that healing up and stuff. But just saying, on his Juggernaut, he does have significantly better melee defense. So the Phoenixes actually did get good damage out here. Again, the High Elves are making a big push for point 2, and that is the point right outside of their frickin' base, and they have to make a push to try and capture it. That's how desperate the point situation is. Even though Hitman Hippo is doing perfectly fine on gold damage value, and even real damage value, like you look around, they have 16 to 14 unit counts, and it's not like Khorne has crazy high health units. Like we have 2 wounded troops on the low ground, a bunch of wounded troops right here, a half health Minotaur, Skulltaker's almost dead. So like Khorne's suffering damage. My problem is just the High Elves can't take these damn points. Finally, they take point 2, so they stop the triple cap. Only 400 points to victory for Khorne, and the High Elves need 1,170. A little different situation there, as Skulltaker does opt into the fight versus the Lion Chariots versus Tyrion versus the double Flame Spires. But the Flame Spires, one of them's going after Skulltaker just to harass him. Looks like Tyrion and the others are going to fight the Minotaurs back. They do have Ranger supports. This is a pretty good time to try and take out those Minotaurs once and for all, now that you've finally gotten an infantry advantage. We have Chaos Furies trying to stop these Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers. Rear charge in from the Chaos Warhounds of Khorne will also get good damage out. As Khorne tries to keep point 1 on their own doorstep, they're starting to lose a little bit of momentum. Scarbrand does have 1,500 supplies, and he summons some quick-moving Marauder Horsemen of Khorne throwing axes. Probably going to use them as melee light cavalry, considering the situation at hand, where he just needs bodies, but also to get into melee, and they have good hybrid stats. But the remnants of these Illyrian Reavers and Silver Helms stop him from moving up. Point 1 is going to get captured by the High Elves pretty soon, and meanwhile, Tyrion is hunting down Skulltaker. Do the High Elves have a late game rally in them? It looks like they just might, as Warlines of Christ on the low ground are charging some Chaos Warriors and Forsaken that are very damaged. Skulltaker is going to have to die. It looks like he is nearly unbreakable with too many leadership buffs for the High Elves to even comprehend. He is slowly healing up, but one shot from the Flamespire Phoenix will kill him off. There's enough light cavalry of the High Elves to take point 1, and all of Khorne's hopes are on holding point 3. Hitman Hippo, the gold damage value lead has gone to almost nothing, but just Khorne losing Skulltaker, considering all their units are so low on HP, now their leadership is probably going to fall apart because they just lost their lord. Looking at the real value on the battlefield, Khorne is just about spent. So if they can hold point 3, they will win this game. If they lose point 3, I really don't see them reclaiming any momentum here. Chaos Warriors about to rout. Everybody else routing for Khorne. We do have Chaos Furies and his Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, just engaging in melee to try and seize back point 1 as best they can. Illyrian Reaver is going to rout, but Khorne gives up the goat. Realizes there's no hope. Tyrion and the Flamespire Phoenixes were going to hop over here, and that would be that. Dang. That was really close for Scarbrand to take that game off the triple cap, but then his back just broke, and the High Elves threw a whole bunch of light cavalry at point 1. Just like so much light cav. Silver Helms did okay. Lion Chariots of Christ did alright, but it was the Illyrian Reaver show for the most part. Rangers actually got good value too. GG. Next place was like Blood Gorge or something. I'll recognize it when I see it. Is it the Blood Grove? Okay, this is what Tim told me to play. All right, let's check up on chat. When Mr. Rogue was passing Imperial Customs, they asked how many in his party. He said 1, so that became his last name. I wonder if they'll have a visual rework for Shadows in the next DLC. If High Elves are the 3rd faction, then all 3 factions would have Shadows. What? Oh, the lore of Shadows, Trogdor. Dude, you gotta be a little more specific, bro. A rework for Shadows, like, here, from my perspective, try and hear it, right? You know you're talking about the lore of Shadows. I'm thinking of what human beings have when they walk in a surface that has light. Man, I wonder if they're gonna rework Shadows. All 3 factions have Shadows. I'm sitting here thinking, who the fuck doesn't have Shadows in this game? You play the Tomb Kings and their models just have no shadows underneath them. None. I misread that, but that's funny. All right, I'm just catching up on chat, chilling. Best part is that the E5 bolster that the B1 battle droids used was more expensive than the droids themselves. Oh, the blaster, yeah. What do you think the Hives will get if they're part of the next DLC? I'm gonna go with the hope rather than the think, because I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not. But like, I think there are aspects to the last DLCs that were very cool and very fun. I also think there was aspects to the last DLCs that were so mind-bogglingly bad for the health of the game that I couldn't have conceived them. So I don't want to pretend it's like, oh, I know what's coming up, because there's gonna be something so mind-bogglingly bad for the balance of the game that I'm not gonna have thought of it. Like the land ship, the thunder barge, the steam tank rework, dwarves, period. Elspeth von Draken's breath attack, the release Mutalith Vortex Beast, the release Incarnate Elemental of Beast, the fucking Thunder Tusk is a horrible unit design, the ROR Skull Cannon before it got nerfed. Like, these DLCs always come out with something that is so mind-bogglingly broken that I'm like, how did you think this was a good idea? Release Mangler Squigs. Now, they over-nerfed them for sure, but release Mangler Squigs was stupid. It's good versus infantry. It's good versus cavalry. It's pretty good versus single entities. And if it dies, it's a bloated corpse. What? Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention they're unbreakable. What? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that? I don't know. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Oh, shit. They're killing everything. Yeah, you made them good versus everything. Of course they're killing everything. That's so bad. Let's just put this unit in the fucking dumpster and leave it there. That was so stupid. So anyway, I'm just gonna go with what I hope is in the next DLC. I've heard a lot about the Sky Cutter thing. It's like a flying Scourge Runner chariot. Sure, I'm not excited about that, but it's probably in there. So there's the Sky Cutter. Other than that, I do hope the High Elves get some like Vanguard stealth melee infantry, like Rangers Plus, you know? Maybe 900 gold, armor piercing, dual swords types unit. I think that'd be pretty cool. They could use some cavalry help, though I don't know what form that comes in, honestly. You could do like Warlion Riders. That could be kind of fun. Monstrous cavalry. That'd be fun. I know the tabletop / lore mains are going to be shouting at me right now. I just said it'd be fun. I don't think it's going to happen, but that'd be kind of cool. So the things that I think could actually be in there and I would want would be the stealth assassin type guys. I think that could be good. They could use a second artillery piece, though that might be the Sky Cutter, but something besides just the shitty bolt thrower, maybe like a bolt thrower ROR that's just better, or something like Sea Lord Eithlin's ROR bolt throwers, and it's like they took them from his ships and they do like armor piercing magic damage and they fire a lot faster. Something like that. Like the Hellstorm Rocket Battery ROR, but for high elf bolt throwers. That could be fun and cool. I don't honestly know what lord they're gonna do, because even reading the elf books, they've covered most of the legendary lords. They might like make Alistair the White Lion a little more official. But other than that, they might do Sea Lord Iceland himself just to have him fight against Nakari and stuff, because it's the Tides of Torment. So probably honestly the Sea Lord. They could do Merworms. I don't know how they would do that in land-based battles, but Merworms are just like, take a Frostworm from Kislev and put it underwater. That's close enough. Like, it's a little more fishy and eely than the Frostworm is, but you get the point. I don't know how they do that on land, but they made an entire Vampire Coast faction and put them on land anyway, so fuck it, who knows. But Merworm would probably be the High Elves' big monster for this one, because I don't see what else they do for a big monster. Even though the Merworm is entirely naval based, it does not come on land at all. Like, I don't know what other monster they could possibly do from the lore. They did the Phoenixes, they did the Dragons, and that's all. High Elves are never known for their single entities, so they're kind of shit out of luck there. The Sky Cutter ranged or melee? Ranged. Land shift is balanced for domination. I just don't think it's healthy for the game. I've had this rant too many times and like people are sick of it, so I'm going to do the incredibly abbreviated version. But I don't think, even if the Thunder Barge is balanced for domination, I don't think it's good for the game. Because a lot of the game is played in campaign. And if you've run into AI dwarf stacks where they have like 4 or 5 Thunder Barges, if you don't have a ton of ranged units, you're just completely fucked. And then you have to what? Disband your army, go summon a different one, rework it to have a bunch of ranged units, find the dwarves again, fight them, take out the Thunder Barges, and then fucking sell that army. Like, it's asinine. And it's just a light switch unit where you have the counters or you don't. You don't, you lose. You do, you win. And the thing is like like think of any other unit type in the game that isn't flying ranged, because flying ranged is fundamentally broken. Most units in the game cannot interact with a flying range unit. They just can't participate in combat with it. Nothing else is like that. Like flying melee has to eventually come down and fight you in melee. So your units, even if they're not specialized to kill it, can participate. Like a Bloodthirster of Khorne can beat Battle Pilgrims, right? Bretonnian Battle Pilgrims, they're not meant to kill a Bloodthirster. Cool. If a Bloodthirster charges 3 armies of 19 stack Battle Pilgrims, it will eventually die. It'll get a lot more than its damage value is worth. It'll have a good trade, but will eventually die because it has to land. And even though the Battle Pilgrims aren't designed to fight it, they still fight it and do some form of damage. There's some form of trade. Thunder Barge is, do you have range units or flying units? Though honestly can kill the flying units anyway. I don't know if you've ever attacked the Thunder Barge with Furies, but for the sake of this argument, do you have flying units? No. Do you have range units? No. You're fucked. You're flat fucked. You can't do anything. That's it. And it's like, oh, okay, that campaign's cool. And then even in Domination where it's balanced, is it balanced? Sure, because you can counter summon flying or ranged things, unless your vampire counts. You can summon those things. But is that a fun thing? Do people really like watching either a War Zeppelin kill everything on the battlefield completely uninteractive, or someone wastes 3,400 gold summoning a giant fat piece of shit that gets instantly shot down? Because those are the two options you have. There's no possible hype with this unit. If you have the counter, it died and that player looks like an idiot. If you don't have the counter, it kills everything and the other player looks like an idiot. There's no in between. There's no fucking close game with a Thunder Barge. And the game might end up like looking close, like the health bars are close and like, oh man, can the archers kill the Thunder Barge or something like that? But that doesn't mean it was a close nail-biting experience. It was a slog. It was just a pointless garbage dumpster fire that happened to almost result in one player winning or the other, but it's not going to be a result that was close and exciting. It's kind of like, to stay on the Star Wars thing, it's like, can Han Solo hit this button to blow up the Death Star, or will Darth Vader catch up to him and stab him to death? That's not interesting in the way you want it to be interesting. It's not a duel between two characters you give a shit about or anything, because one is completely fucked. Like, it's just completely fucked. And you know that, but it's like, I mean, does the timer run out? That's all there is. Like, it's just not like, oh man, Karl Franz going back and forth with Lewin Lanker. Whoever lands the next hit is gonna fucking do it. It's so close. That's never gonna happen with a Thunder Barge. Oh, I hate it. I said the short version and then I gave a medium version. That's not even the full version. It's not even the full. There's more rage that could pour from my gaping mouth, my gaping maw of hatred for dwarves and their flying bullshit. If dwarves didn't have any flying units, they would legitimately be my second favorite faction in the entire game. No cap. But I despise their flying units so much, they are currently my least favorite, and I debate banning them in any event I host. That's how much I hate the Thunder Barge and the gyrocopters. They're so fucking toxic. Oi, we're a heavily armored, very slow infantry faction who also happens to have some of the best flying skirmish in the entire game. What? What? How is that related to the other thing? I don't know. I thought you were the slow guys. Yeah, except when we're like the fastest things in the game. Besides that, we're really slow. We are the elves, the fastest things you could ever find. No one can beat us in a race. I have a helicopter. Fuck, you win. My bad. I thought I got to be fast, but turns out dwarves are faster than me because they have helicopters in a fantasy game. Stupid. Okay. That was a long answer to Zirkel's question. Vamps is silly. Oh, Vamps silly rat. They don't have shadows at all? That's messed up. Let's see who knows. Sea Serpentine Dragon, dude. What units would go with the Sea Lord? I feel like I just answered that, but yeah, probably like the high elf equivalent of Blackheart Corsairs, but just give him stealth and like armor piercing and then a higher price point for him. And then the Skycutter and the Merworms. The obvious choice for the generic lord is the Phoenix Guard Lord. Oh, like Caradrian? That guy was dope. Army book, Anointed of Assyrian, Sea Helm, Lord and Hero. Skycutters have 2 versions. The Merworms almost certainly comes with 3 varieties. Interesting. Legendary Hero, Coril or Caradriel. Yeah. David, those are good shoutouts. I forgot about Corhill. I did just mention Caradriel. So I knew about that guy. Deck droppers before the nurse, yeah. Oh god, chat's popping off and I don't have time because the game is starting. Real quick. Dwarves are so awful in campaign. Okay, you know what would be funny if instead of Total War 40k, we get Total War Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, Zerkill. I mean, I'd still be down, but yeah, people would be pissed if it's not 40k. People have like, I feel like CA, if they're not working on 40k, have started working on 40k because the internet is so sure it's 40k that CA's like, well, fuck, now it has to be. Okay. Dogs of War units. Pike Hoplites would be nice. It's not balanced in any mode. A bunch of stuff in this game isn't. I don't consider runaway or you lose good game design. Agreed.
We have a victory.
I'm looking forward to the Merworm. And that's as caught up as I'm going to be because the game has really started and I really need to pay attention. I'm sorry, chat. You're too interesting. Anyway, Lokir is getting stabbed by the White King. So what are in these builds for Berserk on our first Dark Elves of the day versus Hitman Hippo with our second Vampire counts? Hippo brought Heinrich Himmler with the double White Kings again, just like Tim did, but he brought a Vargulf this time, and then a lot more infantry spread out here. Not the 2 clumps that we did before. And we have 2 corpse cards, but these 2 have the Unholy Lodestone. For the Dark Elves, a lot of skirmish cab to start off, 3 Dark Rider Peter crossbows, and more skirmish. The Siren River Red Ruin, and then Lokir Fellheart. I actually really like him in Domination. That's a good shout out. And then very few melee infantry. As you can see, they can just get deleted by the double Scab Scraff that Hitman Hippo threw down the side of them. But why do I really like Lokir here? Lokir is an insanely strong dragon combatant. The main problem in land battles is the game doesn't go long enough for him to really use a lot of his healing, which takes time. It takes a lot of time for him to heal up. And you take a significant portion of your army in a dragon hero that you then need a caster, so you're spending even more money to your caster. In Dom, you're going to have larger armies, so it's less of a percentage of your army locked up in this, and you can use more time to abuse his stats, because Lokir has crazy high stats for a dragon caster because of Dreaded Duelist, which he didn't even bring, interestingly enough. But Dreaded Duelist normally gives your Dragon Lord, like, 80-80 for melee stats, which is insane. Like, other dragon characters don't have that at all. Second Bloodrack Medusa has been summoned, so it looks like Berserk is going fully into the early kite. He's going to kite out the vampire counts nice and early, get a lot of damage on these infantry and whittle them down. So I like that. I like that. And then Lokir is just going to keep diving in on the White Kings whenever he has time to do so, and he's not really in much danger. It's not like the vampire counts have like handguns or something that could punish him for doing this. Second Vargulf has been summoned, so both sides really sticking to their single entities as the Siren Red Ruin dives into melee, interestingly enough. Kind of surprised she's here. She does have anti-large, but not the greatest stats, and especially in the defensive department. Only 30 armor. 50 melee defense is nice, but 30 armor and not a huge HP pool with no source of healing is risky to throw yourselves into those spears. Now it's undead spears, which are some of the worst units in the game because, you know, they're skeletons and zombies. They're not supposed to be great. But still, it was risky. It ended up paying off for him. I mean, he got decent damage out, didn't take much in return, and he gets back to kiting. Ooh, that's gonna be a good shot. Look at these clumps of skeleton warriors. Oh, lasers. Oh, lasers. I love the Medusas after their rework. They were OP for a patch. Now they're not OP. They're debatably a little weak, but I think their projectiles after the rework have always looked really cool to me. Their animations are beautiful. So the Dark Elves doing really well damage-wise. Berserk is getting insane damage on the targets he wants to. The problem is how easily Hitman Hippo is slamming any infantry that try and enter the fight. We've seen two different units right here both get deleted by double Scab's Breath. Oh, and the Canadian Assassin is getting massacred right now. Oof. Vargulf and the White Kings take him out. But meanwhile, Kemmler is once again under attack. This is why I really do like seeing Lokir in Domination. We don't see a lot of Dark Elves in Domination from what I understand from the games I pop in on Turn Stream or when I talk to some Dom pros, but I do think Lokir is fun when he actually does show up as he chases down Kemmler. Berserk continues to kite it out, and now he's starting to summon some more melee units. We have Dark Riders, we have Cold One Knights, we have some more Bleak Swords in the very far back, as Kemmler's down to half HP. Lots of healing left for Kemmler, but there's only so much healing you can get, and Lokir is going to very doggedly keep poking it off of you until you are dead. Canadian Assassin should rally in the trees, though some Dark Rider Repeater Crossbows had to momentarily give their lives to save him, so a couple of them won't be returning. The Canadian Assassin is back in action. The Golden Knights are stopped dead by a good zombie summon. Meanwhile, the Siren Red Ruin again flies in, throws out her Whale of Malice for a little bit of damage and tries to walk out, but this time Hitman Hippo is not about it. He's getting significantly more damage than the first time, and now Lokir has to dive in. Now Lokir should be okay. 56 melee defense against the Vargulfs is pretty solid. They have 60-ish melee attack, but still, he's about equivalent. It's not like he's going to get completely bodied. And Kemmler is making sure that this Siren Red Ruin is taxed quite a lot before she gets to safety. Around half HP for her. And Lokir also takes some damage, so a bit of an unfortunate trade there. A little overzealous with his Siren Red Ruin. Vampire Count's currently just summoning a lot more infantry as far as I can see. After the second Vargulf summon, he's been mostly just throwing zombies at this. As the Repeater Crossbows took out one of the corpse carts. I don't know where the other corpse cart is. Oh, it's way over there. So yeah, one of the two corpse carts is dead. Canadian Assassin is kiting out the White Kings, and this is insanely good for the Dark Elves as long as he doesn't allow himself to get caught. But Berserk's micro does slip as soon as I praise it. His micro slips and gets caught by the White Kings, taking a ton of damage. He's going to rout again. This time actually just going to die. Ooh, I had to bring it up. I was saying that like he brought two White Kings off in the middle of nowhere and was just kiting them out, but then a little slip in micro and he loses his Canadian Assassin. Not a big loss. It was just embarrassing because I literally just drew attention to it because I am a piece of shit. Overcast Invocation and Heck here. Try and save some of these units that are under duress. Nice Flaming Sword of Ruin out onto these guys to try and reduce that Vampire Count's healing and also do extra damage to all the units that are weak to fire around here. Like the Cryptos. Nice Burning Head out onto the Vampire Counts. Tequila Sunset says hello. That is weird for Tequila Sunset to raid me after he cast the Conquest New Player Tournament and I'm casting a Domination event. That's normally the other way around. What's going on? Anyway, decent Burning Head. Lokir has 2 breath attacks left. He's actually been pretty conservative with those, but it's a long game. He has lots of time to use them. I haven't talked about the capture points yet at all because there's been too much violence and action, which I'm okay with. Dark Elves only hold 1 point. Vampire Counts actually hold 2. And if there's anything to know about Vampire Counts, they are sticky. Takes them a long time to die, so if you're behind on capture points, that can get stressful later into the game as Heinrich Kemmler falls back. We have seen this twice today. I think this will be the 3rd game. But the problem is going to be for the Dark Elves, the damage versus map possession trade. And you need to make that switch to map possession at the right time. We saw Charex earlier struggle with it. He did a lot of damage on the Lizardmen versus Tim the Wilder's Beastmen, but he couldn't transfer into map control in time, and he lost on points. And then we saw just the other game with Scarbrand versus Hitman Hippo. The High Elves transferred just at the last second into taking the map, and then they stopped the triple cap. In fact, counter triple capped and won the game off that. So that was just the right time. I wonder if the Dark Elves have the same timing because they're getting good damage out. No complaints about the damage they're getting. They're definitely winning overall on that. Even though the Vampire Counts are healing, still they've lost more units. Berserk has more gold damage value, and that's when you even consider crumbling. All the crumbling damage doesn't count towards Berserk, but it's still going against the Vampire Counts. So the Vampire Counts have taken an insane amount of damage. The problem is going to be when can the Dark Elves start to push them off of points? When can the Dark Elves actually take anything for themselves? Because if they can't do that, then it doesn't matter how much damage you do. They're going to keep summoning random bullshit and throwing it at points. Like, that's not how this game mode works. Not like land battles or conquest where you can attrition your opponents out. Here, there's an and then. You attrition your opponents out, and then take the map, right? You have to hit that and then. So I wonder if Berserk will do it. I mean, he is certainly an elite enough player to know how to do that. I don't doubt it at all. I'm just throwing it out there where it's like, yeah, he's doing a lot of damage right now, but wait a second. He is about to take a point. He's been triple capped for a little bit, which is even more concerning now that Hitman Hippo's cresting the 1,000 points. So it's a little worrisome. Lokir is taking a 2v1 on top of Crypt Ghouls. He's not super worried because his stats are so high and he's slowly healing up, but it is a lot of damage, but he is just holding them in place so these repeater crossbows can light up the Vargulfs and get rid of one of them as another Flamestorm goes through the back line, messing up some zombies though. Man, Berserk is playing with literal fire as he's sprinting into this, hoping it does not reverse course. Vortexes can be a fickle mistress, but it does not betray him. It does stay in the zombies and does not turn back into his own dread spears as Dark Ride Repeater crossbows are still firing away. But Hitman Hippo is doing great. I mean, Kemmler took about as much damage as he possibly could have and is still alive, so he's distracted Lokir as much as possible without losing his life. We do have some Blood Knights in, so some elite knights. And Berserk, you can see for the past, 3 or 4 summons, he has been summoning melee units. He's not summoning any more repeater crossbows. He's not summoning dark shards, bolt throwers, medusas of any kind. So he is fully on the switch, right, to taking some real space, but we'll see if it's enough as he is trying to capture point 1, but Blood Knights look like they're ready to ride over and stop that shit from happening. Point 2 isn't even budging. We have multiple Dark Elf units here, and it's just no match for the capture rate of the vampire counts, but Kemmler is surrounded. Do the Blood Knights turn and save their lord, or do they persist towards point 1? Honestly, I think point 1 is the correct decision. Kemmler is toast no matter what you do. He's just too low, though he's trying to heal up with Master of the Dead. He is crumbling, but crumbling how much? Can his healing save him? -5, but it's not enough. He crumbles away. So yeah, the Blood Knights made the right choice, not coming back for a doomed Kemmler, instead just persisting after keeping point 1. Because I think that's the full flip, is Hitman Hippo just has to hold the points. That's his only way of winning. He has really evened up the gold damage value, and this has been happening a lot today, is like, the ranged or the damage focused build will get a huge lead, but then when they transition into the melee style, they usually get caught right back up. So it's like that, the enemy army just has like a better position or a better melee composition, and the random units you feed into them just give them a ton of value. I don't know, but that is a little fraudulent. Remember that Berserk has way more damage winning than this because burning heads have not been counting towards the gold, if I remember correctly, and crumbling doesn't. So Hitman Hippo has taken a lot more damage, though, maybe you're arguing he's also healing it up. But nice sneaky Crypt Ghoul getting over onto point 3. It is trying to capture it. It's only at half health, so it's at half strength. Maybe those Colder Knights can push it off. Vargulfs get rid of the Dark Elf caster, which is quite nice. Hitman Hippo closing in on that victory. He's even going for a triple cap this late into the game. Lokir lands in a desperate attempt to put this game on his back, and he has been. I mean, Lokir's been slamming fools, but he doesn't have capture weight. He's a flying unit, and Berserk did summon a crossbow unit this late into the game, an absolute madman with only 200 tickets left to go. Currently 100 seconds until that wears off, and the Colder Knights did not go for the Crypt Ghouls. I honestly don't know if the Dark Elves saw that they exist as the Colder Knights go back for the central engagement. Berserk is all in on capturing this point. He's keeping these Bleak Swords away from the damage because he knows they're about to rout, and he just literally needs their capture weight. So he's like, you guys are a spent force, you're dead to me, just put your capture weight on this point. I mean, there's no shot. I think Hitman Hippo's got this. He has 3 infantry units and a Blood Knight and a Corpse Card on point 1, so there's no shot you take point 1. Point 2 is heavily contested, and sneakily the Vampire Counts just took point 3. It is doomed, and Hitman Hippo will beat Berserk. I don't watch a ton of Domination, so I actually don't know if this is an upset, but certainly in my mental slotting of how good these players are, this is an upset. Hitman Hippo is no slouch, but Berserk is like, in land battles and Conquest, I know he plays a ton of Domination. I know he's been very active in turns tournaments, but in land battles and Conquest, Berserk is debatably second in the world. Sippa has had his number recently, which is why I said confidently earlier Sippa's number 2, and I do believe that. I think Sippa is legitimately the second best player right now behind Alfredino, but Berserk used to be second best, and he is always pressuring Sippa to take that title back, so I am surprised that Hippo beat him. But maybe in Domination land, you're like, nah, dude, if you watch turns tournaments, Berserk's washed. He sucks. I don't know. You're better than me. What up, Tequila Sunset? How you doing? How you doing? We have 1 game left in the stream. We'll have Martinius versus Hitman Hippo to round out the stream. You're welcome to stick around or frick off. As for the actual concept of the stream, the Cash Money Big King of the Hill, Tim the Wilder got 3 W's in a row versus very hard opponents, and then Hitman Hippo and him went in a very, very, very close game 4, but Hippo did unseat him as King of the Hill, so he did earn the prize. And then I told the players, I'm like, all right, the cash part is done. If you want to play for fun, you can, but the prize is claimed. Hippo got the bounty. And the players opted to play, so we're good. All right, I'll go grab a map from Tim the Wilder's list of good maps. All right, Bordello Landing. That was a good game from Hippo. Bordello. There's 2 Bordello landings. I need to ask the players which one's actually the good map. I'll check chat again. How do you feel about Tretch Craventail lore-wise? After learning more Skaven lore, I am shocked he was the 3rd legendary lord. They did Skrulk, Queek, and then Tretch Craventail was like the first free LC, and I was like, really? That guy? I mean, you have such badass characters as Deathmaster Snitch, Ikit, Thanquil. But I do, now that I think about it, now that I'm saying it out loud, I wonder if they were boxed in by planned DLCs, because they were like, well, we could do this sick Eshin DLC, we could do this sick Clan Scryer DLC, we could do Clan Molder. Who the hell do we put as a 3rd character that we don't want to use later for money, you know? Like, not trying to shame them, but you kind of, like, think about it this way. They didn't want to do Throt disservice, where, like, you put him in as a free lord, and then later do a Clan Molder DLC without Throt. Like, that's just kind of weird. So, yeah. I mean, sure, cash grabs are cash grabs, but also, like, they were kind of stuck. They're like, we need a 3rd character, but one that isn't so significant that they are worth a whole DLC later. And I guess it's Tretch, but honestly, I would have done Thanquil, because you already had Grayseers in the game, and Thanquil doesn't need a whole DLC, but teach their own. So I think the only real choices were Tretch and Thanquil. I think the Gyro Bomber is a cool unit design-wise. Yeah, the Gyro Bomber isn't that toxic in its current form. It's fine. I still just have issues. Not to get back on the whole Dwarf thing, but the real quick of just answering that from earlier. I just don't like the thematics of the slow, heavy armored Rock and Stone faction to also have super fast flighty gyrocopters and like the Thunderbarge. It's weird. Like, it's weird for my picturing of how that faction is. And if you like it and if you think it's cool, that's fine. I don't think dwarves should be deleted from the game. I just don't like their current implementation. But that's my opinion, and you can have a different opinion. I think there's some things that are objective that we should all agree on, and if you disagree with me, you're objectively trolling and wrong. But liking or disliking the iteration of the dwarves in this game is definitely an opinion, and you're free to like them. Gyro Bombers aren't terrible, yeah. How do you feel? Okay, I already read that from Zirkel. Could you make a video on how you would fix the worst meta unit Thunderbarge like stuff that isn't removing them from the game? Zirkel, I'll put up a poll if people think that's interesting. Hold on. How to fix X unit. Good or bad video? Because I'll just like, I'm actually asking because I don't know. Because to me, I'd love to rant about that shit, but I also recognize that I am too invested in this topic, if that makes sense, where it's like, yeah, of course I care about that, but then 99% of the YouTube audience is like, yeah, I don't give a shit about that. show more battle replays, nerd. So yeah, love your feedback on if you think that's a good video idea. If Hives are in the next DLC and they really have Iceland as Legendary Lord, I hope it has a mechanic about killing Lokir and destroying his faction since they are arch enemies. David, that would be sick. I feel like Lokir does need a little bit more going on campaign-wise, so that'd be super hype. Makes sense to do 4 main clans. We don't want to do Thankful yet. Sad that the base lords for races on release usually get the most boring mechanics, unless they later get reworked. Dude, I know Queek's mechanics aren't in depth, and I am definitely a Queek fanboy, but I like Queek's current campaign, like running for Carrick 8 Peaks, and then you get this massive buff, and you just like steamroll the map. He doesn't have the most in-depth stuff, and I think all the Skaven campaigns are really good, except for, honestly, Tretches kind of blows. You're right. Okay, Tretches blows. I shouldn't say all, but like, I don't think Skrulx is that good. I don't really get the plague stuff with him, and I just don't care about it. But aside from that, I really like Queek's campaign because of his position on the world and Carrick 8 Peaks. And then I think all the DLCs are really cool. I do, and this is just me, I do get overwhelmed sometime in the late game with some of the stuff, like, and it's not just the Skaven DLCs, it's like Grom's Cauldron and Kugoth's Plagues a little bit, Thrott's Molder stuff a little bit, where it's like, ooh, check back in and create a new plague, or check back in and do a new mutagen for this unit or this one thing. And I'm like, dude, I have like 7 armies. I don't give a fuck if one of my wolf rats has 20% more speed or can explode or any of that. I'm gonna forget and use it like a normal wolf rat because I can't keep track of 7 armies. So like, it is a really cool mechanic, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have put it in at all. It's just, for me personally, I have fun with those mechanics the first like 30 turns, and then usually my economy gets so macro scale that I can't focus on the micro unit scale. Which is why, like, I think I've played the Throt DLC the least out of this Skaven. Ikit Claw also down there. It was a very fun campaign, but again, I got a little overwhelmed. I played Eshin and Queeks the most, because the Eshin one, the thing I like about the Eshin one is it's not about the units. So as you get more macro, right, and you get 7, 8, 9, 20, 50 armies, you get all that shit, but all the Eshin mechanics are just about empire stuff. So you can do agents to like blow up a city wall, you can do agents to like delete an entire faction, steal some money, shit like that. And it's never like, which unit did I give that to again, or what are we doing with this, or is that unit changed? And they're not bad mechanics. Again, I'm not complaining about them at all. I think the mechanics are sick as shit. I just mean I gravitate towards, as a casual campaign player, I gravitate towards the campaigns that are cool but also basic. Like the Chaos Dwarves, I have not gotten that far into the Chaos Dwarves. I beat one of their campaigns once, and I honestly just brute forced my way through it like I do every other campaign. I didn't engage much with their slavery and their iron and shit. It just kind of was too much for me, and I would have had to like sit down and put energy into like paying attention to it. And I know you're gonna say it's not that complicated. I'm sure it isn't. But when I play campaign, I'm usually watching League of Legends on the other screen, like LCS, well, it's now LTA, but like LCS playoffs is going on literally right now, and I would be watching that if I wasn't streaming for you guys. So, you know, my attention's like half on the fucking screen. I'm answering emails in between. I get up and go get like dinner and come back, and I kind of like play it while talking to my friends or something. Like, Warhammer campaign for me, unless I'm streaming, is never my primary focus. So if something's different, I don't feel like I want to learn anything, because I've been playing Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2, Warhammer 3 campaigns for like 7 or 8 years now. So like my hubris is I already know how to play this game, and then when CA introduces something that makes me relearn it, I'm like, well, that's dumb. I don't want to learn anything. I already know how to play. I want to play the same game I've been playing for 8 years. So it's like, That is definitely a me thing, for sure. I think objectively, CA should do campaigns with more interesting and complex mechanics to keep their player base engaged and to make it worth their high price point. I think that's objectively true. But I also gravitate towards the simpler campaigns because that's how I enjoy playing campaign. So it's it's a double thing. Graciers are on the clan. Imagine if they do something with that. Of course, the rest of the DLC will be Vermin Lords, 1 Legendary, 1 Generic Lord, and 4 Vermin Lord variants. Just promise to go off on a rant or 3 if you make the video. Of course, if I do how to rework the Thunder Barge, I'm gonna rant about it. Yeah. Mama Stank's late game is the worst for that. You have to spend 10 minutes per turn making curses. Ugh. I meant more of the lords that have no unique mechanics like Tyrion. Yeah, that's okay. You need at least something, Detective John, for sure. Like there is too simple. I just went on a rant about how simple is one of my favorite, but like there's too simple and too bland. Like I honestly don't play much Volkmar the Grim. I played him for a stream for Halloween, but that was more of memeing around with my chat. But really, Volkmar the Grim for me is a little too simple. You don't have a lot of the Empire's cool mechanics that like Franz engages with. You don't have the cool D&D feel of Marcus Wolfhart, and it's like his buffs to flagellants are fun for like the first 5 battles, and then eventually I'm like, whatever. It's not a bad campaign. I'm just bringing up an example of like, all right, maybe Volkmar could use a few more mechanics. maybe you could use a couple more. That's a little too simple. I think Shogun 2 campaigns slap. Dude, Shogun 2 campaigns are so good. Yeah, no, they're great. I still go back and play them sometimes. I have a hard time sticking with Shogun 2 right now because I've played so much Warhammer, and like the unit movement is so crisp in Warhammer. We meme on it for the jank and the bugs all the time, and there are jank and bugs, but like Warhammer cycle charging compared to Shogun cycle charging is just a different monster. And then magic is so nice, and monsters are nice. So I have a hard time finishing a Shogun campaign, but the actual campaign mechanics in Shogun are still really good. I go back and play. I played a Uesugi run in February, and I got to like turn 40 before I got distracted by a different game. But yeah, no, the Shogun 2 campaign is really good. Books of Nagash are bad. Yeah, I'm playing Arkan with my friends right now, and I have honestly ignored the Books of Nagash because they're so far away and such a pain to get for such a low reward. It's like, ooh, 10% research rate. That's exciting if I go to Nagarond. Yeah. I need to play Three Kingdoms. I actually hear a lot of good things about it. Final game of the day. We have Martinius versus Hitman Hippo. Martinius and Hitman Hippo. We have our first Empire of the day versus our second Beastmen. So Hitman Hippo has been having his own impressive run on the back end. He beat Tim, he beat Berserk, he beat Scarbrand. Actually, this would determine who won more. If Martinius beats Hitman Hippo, then he ties Tim the Wilder for 3 wins on the King of the Hill. If Hitman Hippo wins this, he would have actually won 4, proving he is superior as a gameplay player. For the Empire of Martinius, we have Outriders with their carbines, not with the grenade launchers. A Master Engineer on his steam tank mount. Death, what the hell? The Death Jacks. Okay, that's Wilden. Death Jacks, archers, then we have Spearmen, Empire Knights, a couple archers, and a Bright Wizard with Burning Head and Cascading Fire Cloak. So a lot of Spearmen. And unlike Land Battles and Conquest, Domination just uses CA unit caps. So we have like 10 Spearmen here. Spearmen with shields and then Spearmen without shields are considered different units according to CA unit caps. So a lot of those cost-effective little spears. On the other side for the Beastmen, we have 2 cadres of forces. We have Sons of Goros, Korngors, and a Brachyman of Death with Fate of Beam and Spirit Leech in these trees. And then we have Korngors, Goreherds, Torx of Brass Bull, and Centaurs on this side. Taking a early triple cap, though no one is surprised. The Beastmen have higher base speed than the Empire units do by a significant margin, and they have Vanguard deployment, so they just ran up and took the points real quick. You can see they're not even trying to defend them. They just fell back. They're putting their Goreherds on the very tippy tip of this little square to just put some damage out. Not damage, capture weight out, making the Empire take longer to capture from them. Date clan with the no Dachi samurais are fun. Yeah, Date was pretty fun. What about the top right corner of the map? It's a huge chunk of the map that hasn't been used at all. I can't believe they're not planning on using it. Oh, that corner. Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like the bottom right is more empty, down near where Kugath is. Meanwhile, Empire Knights got a little bit of a charge off, but the Sons of Goros quickly deter that. Armor-piercing, fast guys with woodsmen fighting in the woods. You want nothing to do with this. Sons of Goros chase those guys out. We do have the Pigeon Bomb landing on the Goreherds and the Korngors, doing a lot of good damage. The Sons of Goros need to fall back. They got some decent damage up, but they don't want to be baited too hard out in the open where the Death Jacks are hitting them. Second Spirit Leech onto the Master Engineer already. There is no healing for him. I don't see a Life Wizard, so we'd have to either summon a second caster just to cast regrowths on the Master Engineer, or all this damage is going to stick. So the Spirit Leech is very nicely targeted so far. Sons of Goros are falling back now. They took a little more damage than I would have liked, but overall it's fine. I'm scared for the Empire. They're setting up a nice defensive formation on point 3. That's great, but I have no idea what they're going to do to threaten points 2 and 1. And the Beastmen have no reason to actually engage this if they don't want to. Like, if the Empire sets up a super fortress right here, cool. They're going to dip back, go around the lake, and then force you to waddle your dumbass all the way up to point 2 and 1. And then they'll probably summon some Vanguard units back here and take point 3. So I really don't think the Beastmen are looking for any engagement. They'll probably do some hit and run shenanigans or something like that, but I don't think we'll see a big engagement out of the Beastmen for quite a while. I could be wrong, but I don't see the upside for them. There's no reason to force any fights right now. The Empire is trying to move. They're trying to break up their defensive formation, and that's going to be really scary. It could work, and it's probably the right decision. I was just saying that staying in one giant clump is not going to get you enough battlefield presence, but dividing up is risky because the Beastmen are going to try and pounce at any gaps you have. We can see infantry are trying to form up here. There are guys assigned to here, but as long as they're not here, the Beastmen could maybe try and just cause some disruption and really catch that formation out of position. Because a lot of defensive formations, whether it's Cathay, Dwarves, Empire, whatever, they rely on cohesion and positioning a lot, and if you're out of position, the whole thing just falls apart and does literally nothing. So we'll see. As these Goreherds get charged by the Master Engineer's steam tank, just cleaving through them, getting free shots onto other Korngors as they try and capture this point. Torx in the Gore Bull trying to catch the Master Engineers. Another Spirit Leech hits him, but he is having to run through a whole bunch of Outrider fire, and even Huntsmen now have been summoned. Anti-large, higher weapon strength than the Archers. Other than that, we have some Goreherds fighting random Spearmen. And Centaurs are trying to find a way into here, but it's looking really difficult. But this is open. I mean, they need to just go around. These are Free Company militia. They're nothing. And if you get back here, there's no one to stop you. So I do hope the Beastmen exploit that, and it looks like they're about to. This is going to get really bad for the Empire quite quickly. We have some Empire Knights. We have some Spearmen over here, but they're going to be too slow to rotate, or it's one Empire Knight versus 4 Centaurs. So it's not a great trade for the Empire Knight. Nice Burning Head. Should get rid of that Goreherd, though. So really good damage out from Martinius, who is ahead on damage value for sure. Tickets, the Beastmen are up decent amount. They still have a double cap, even though the Empire is threatening to take point 2. Then comes the big flank, and this is really where the Beastmen have to punish the Empire, because this defensive formation got strung out so far. There's not enough melee units to cover every flank, so then you need to abuse the flanks that are there. But a cool Demigryph Knight Halberd summon right in the back. The Beastmen can get a favorable trade onto it. That's not a problem. The problem is they can't get a favorable trade onto it while also shutting down the range that they're back here to do. So it's like, do you defend yourself by getting a really good fight with the Demigryph Knights, or do you complete the mission that you're here for and kill all the ranged units before they get defenses? But you see now, like, out of these 4 ranged units, all of them are in contact with Centaurs, and there's some half-assed Empire Knights trying to defend them. But here come the Demigryph Knights, so the Sons of Goros need to wrap around and rear charge the Demigryph Knights, which it looks like they're going to do. And that's great. That's a 2-for-1. That's what the Beastmen want, because they didn't have to take a separate fight with the Demigryphs in front of ranged units. Now the Demigryphs came to the ranged units, so getting the fight with the Demigryphs that you want happens where you wanted it. So now your Centaurs are where you wanted them to be anyway, but now they're killing the Demigryph Knights. Gorbel and Torox force the Master Engineer back, getting that source of terror and disruption away from the Sons of Goros and whatnot. But the Demigryph Knights are going to kick tons of ass. The Sons of Goros are attritioning out pretty bad. So they didn't get the fight they wanted on the Demigryph Knights. It looks like they had a good rear charge, but there was just too many random infantry in the way. War Empire Knights are summons, the Beastmen getting a little sandwiched in. And what are they summoning for reinforcements? They don't have a ton of supplies. They must have been summoning shit. An Ogre Spearman Herd on the far side and a Korngor over here, so nothing that's going to get here soon. The Beastmen that are here are all you get. Centaurs still trying to kill random free companies. They'll get some more over there. Other Centaurs fighting Empire Knights, but these are just the basic Centaurs. They'll lose that fight. They don't have the armor piercing. And then Demigryph Knights with Halberds get a big surround onto Torox and the Gorbel. Man, the Master Engineer has been taking a ton of damage. Still has 3,000 HP. Despite how low his HP bar is, he just has a huge, huge amount of HP. So the percentage looks bad. The actual value is fine. Centaurs break through all these guys. Hitman Hippo is trying to catch back up on damage value. It is secondary, though, because I believe the Beastmen need to win this game through capture point and pulling the opponents around the map rather than raw damage value and kill them all. Another Spirit Leech onto the Master Engineer as his final Pigeon Bomb lands. Yeah, he has no more left. Gorbel's going to get his sick charge animation. Oh, I cursed him. He's walking sideways. That's on me. Oh, is he going to do the somersault? Somersault of Doom? Somersault of Doom. Somersault of Doom. Somersault of Doom! Oh, no somersault of Doom. I don't know why he's not doing it, though. It's not like he's doing anything else. Beastmen have pushed the Empire all the way back to their spawn. You can see they've almost captured point 3. Point 2 is under threat as Korngors walk confidently towards it. So we're about to get another Beastman triple cap this late into the game. The Empire made a lot of good ticket progress back, but it's by no means permanent. I do think that's how the Beastmen need to win this. Beastman gold damage value is rocketing up. Now, I do believe the Empire will get its feet back under it. But it's what can the Beastman do while the Empire gets its feet back under it? That is the big point. I mean, these Centaurs over here are looking like they're going to terror out any day now. Torox and the Gorbel are starting to attrition out as they sit in a pile of halberds and death. There are carbines firing for free, and the Master Engineer still has a good amount of HP. Turn around and fire with his tank. But the Beastmen are using this time while the Empire is forced back into their spawn and rallying. They're getting a whole bunch more infantry out on the map. They're desummoning some wounded infantry. They've captured point 3. They've almost captured point 2. So they're resetting the state of the game and forcing the Empire to go back to their spawn, respawn a bunch of stuff, take slow-ass spearmen and slow-ass archers and slow-ass everything, reform lines, waddle back up, and take all those points. And that's just hard to do. Like, that's just really hard to get your feet back in the game. So the Beastmen really dealt the Empire a bit of a sucker punch here. I think if the Beastmen win, this was a critical moment where he forced the engagement to happen back here. Like, look at all this stuff spawning back here. Look how far away it is from all the shit that really matters. You're just surrounding Torox and the Gorbel, and that's fine. I'm not saying the Empire player is making mistakes. It's because they forced that on him. I mean, you can't just ignore the Beastmen sitting next to your spawn and not spawn anything ever again. You have to deal with them, but it's buying that space that the Beastmen can now pick off all the Imperial units that are already wounded and get these spawn points back. Now, nice job here. I don't know whether it's a full nice job from the Empire or a bit of a slip from the Beastmen, as I've been kind of, fawning over them. This is a mistake. Outriders grenade launchers ending up in melee with the Korngors. But anyway, the Beastmen thing I was going to mention is just having one Korngor here. I mean, they didn't charge at the wounded guys, so then these Death Jacks and Free Company Militia were offering a ton of capture weight. So they actually lost point 3. I don't think that had to happen. Point 2 belongs to the Beastmen. Point 1 belongs to the Beastmen. They've crested 1,000 points. The Empire is retooling up. So Torox and the Gorbel took a lot of damage. The Bray Shaman of Death is almost dead. It looks like Empire is going to follow him off the battlefield. The Empire is respawning some units. That's all fine. But the Beastmen have the points again. We have fresh Centaurs running up to stop you. So if the Beastmen can just hold these 2 points, they'll be fine. They would have been in an unstoppable position if they had been at 3 points, but it's not the way the cookie crumbled. Nice. Burning Head onto Unbreakable Korngors. But once that Unbreakable wears off, they'll be gone, and point 3 will be firmly in the Empire's hands. Torox is pretty low. Knights of Blazing Sun look like they're going to rear charge him as the Master Engineer wanders around, but his auto fire should be able to finish off that Bray Shaman. Yeah, he's shattered, so no more Spirit Leeches. Meaning that slow ticking timer until the Empire's Lord inevitably died of Spirit Leeches ends right as he was about to die, but Beastmen didn't have the Winds of Magic to do it. Knights of the Blazing Sun get a good charge over here, but they are horribly outnumbered by Razor Gores and Centaurs. So even though they got a crazy amount of damage out on the Razor Gores, it is going to end in their death and they'll fall back. I don't know who's going to win this. A couple minutes ago, when everybody was back here, I thought the Beastmen had a checkmate, but then shit went down at point 3, and now I don't know who wins anymore. Like, these guys should not be allowed to sit here and shoot. That's illegal. That's the most illegal thing I've seen in my entire life. Beastmen still hold 0.2 for now, but the Empire is collapsing in on 0.3 quite heavily. And the Beastmen are kind of running out of gas. They don't have a lot of supplies. They don't have a lot of units that are healthy. And the ones they do have, I mean, 2 of these are piss poor Ungor units. So they're just trying to flood the zone with enough units to get by on capture points. The Empire definitely, if the tickets were 0-0, the Empire has this game because they have plenty of time to win. I just don't know if the Empire has enough time right now to push the Beastmen back. But, you know, they have more units. They have better units in position. It's just whether or not they can stop this game in the next 150 seconds. So they have 2.5 minutes to do something. If they capture one of these points, they double the amount of time they have. But every second that goes by that they're under the double cap, they're getting completely hamstrung on how much time they have to turn this game around. And they are turning it around, like, for sure. The Empire's got a good pocket of strength down here, so this is going to be very hard for the Beastmen to break. They just don't have the momentum to summon a new unit, get down here and kill 4 wounded infantry, a hero, and a full health spearman. So that's not going to happen. The Empire secured 0.3. No one cares about 0.3 anymore. 0.2, they're almost taking it. But then can they rotate over in time? Let's see. Wow, Torox almost just got hit with a tank shot from across the map, but it hit a tree instead. Empire's capturing this point. Beastmen praying to their lucky stars for every second they can get on that double cap, because that's really what they want here. 200 seconds left if you were single capped, 100 left. Otherwise, Bright Wizard routes away, Korngor's route away. Again, 0.3 is secured. No one gives a shit. Full health Spearman wandering over to 0.2 is actually a little risky, because now all these guys are so low that if Hitman Hippo can save up 700 gold, he could actually Vanguard summon a Centaur, come blitz through here and sneak take 0.3. Maybe as the Empire secures 0.2 and starts to draw their focus up towards 0.1, because they need a triple cap to win. They just need that. Oh no! I do not consent to this. A Bray Shaman of Death is summoned to throw an overcasted Spirit Leech down onto this guy, but it's going to take 2 to kill him, maybe 3. And at this point, you just need bodies so badly. I don't know if I agree, but he is in a good position. I mean, the Empire's taking the central points, and now you only have 140 seconds. So now we're back to about 2.5 minutes until the Beastmen win. They're down to just 1 point. I really would have liked more bodies than the Spirit Leech caster. I get it, though. If he can kill the Master Engineer, a lot of these teetering units all of a sudden fall apart. I get it. I feel like it's risky. I feel like it's riskier than it had to be. Hitman Hippo is a better domination player than me, though, by a lot, so I won't be too much of an asshole, but my opinion is my opinion. I'm going to express it because I'm always right. Another overcasted Spirit Leech. This is the big one. Does it kill the Master Engineer, or is it just short and he needs another one? Because he might not get it. 100 HP, 82, 43, dead, barely. The final tick of Spirit Leech takes out the Master Engineer, and that should secure the game for the Beastmen, but man, it coming down to 1 tick of a Spirit Leech, whether or not it was worth summoning an entire caster this late in the game, is a little too ballsy for me, but that should be enough. We do have a bunch of Spearmen falling apart. The Empire, maybe I'm being too harsh on the Beastman player for that, because even without that, the Empire hasn't really made a big move on 0.1. They're just too slow. They have some Empire Knights, they have some Spearmen and stuff, but they're not getting here in time. And the Beastmen still have a full health Korngor, a full health Centaur, another full health Centaur, so they've had plenty on the point. They are going to win on points, I think, even if they hadn't killed the Master Engineer, but I thought it was a little risky. I've been kind of surprised that the Empire isn't going more YOLO, like just sprinting over here and trying their best to take it. They're kind of taking every engagement on the way and playing it more methodically, but they didn't have time to play it methodically. They kind of had to play desperate. So, is what it is. I think, but like the Empire player, I think he was kind of in a lose-lose. So there weren't really mistakes. I feel like at that point in the game, he was just kind of fucked by math. Still. A little more hustle. Torox living and just sitting in the corner the rest of the game was actually pretty pog. How much stream is left today? That was the last game, my friend. My sir. I have to get going. Grace and I have some errands to run. I told her the stream would be done by 4. And then when people wanted to keep going, even though the King of the Hill part kind of ended, I was like, well, okay. I told Grace I'd be done at 5. It is now 5:02, so we're good. Some pretty darn good games today. Pretty darn good games. It was fun. It was nice. Could you do a video ranking the different spell lores? Zerkill, yes. So that is on my list of things to do. I have every lord in the game tier list. I have every hero in the game tier list, and then I have every spell lore in the game tier list. But I've been waiting for a patch for those because I've been waiting to do those for like a month, and I kept thinking, I'm like, surely it patches in the next 2 weeks. And I didn't want to release a tier list that I knew it instantly would get invalidated by a patch. So I've been waiting, and then the patch keeps getting delayed, and now I'm like, well, I'm too committed, so I guess I'll keep waiting. But yes, that is in the works. I'm just waiting because, like, I don't want to put Flock of Doom S tier, and then in the next patch, they're like, Flock of Doom has been too strong for too long, so we're going to nerf it down to nothing. And you're like, oh, well, now it sucks. Because then it seems stupid. And obviously, all tier lists in a game with patches are going to be dated, but I didn't want to release something and then instantly have it dated, you know? I wanted to at least be relevant for, like, 2 or 3 months. With that many spearmen, I feel like an infantry square on each 2 points could have been on the table. Archers inside, free company on the corners. Yeah. Rip in peace, boys. All right, 93% saying it's a good idea to make videos about how to fix this broken unit. Fine. I can put that on the list of things to do. I just finished up my tips video. So, how to fix broken unit videos. Yeah, I just finished up all my tips videos. Let's take a look. As far as Warhammer casting and shit, we're done with that. That ain't happening in the rest of this stream. So if you don't care about stream stuff, then you can go. So we have videos scheduled out till June 10th. 3 mistakes you're making with all the factions that haven't been done yet, and then we have a couple battle replays. But I've been recording battle replays slowly. Like, this one comes out June 3rd, which is Tuesday. Because if they have a patch, it's usually on, like, Thursday. And I don't want to have irrelevant replay casts. So if there is no patch next week, I'll record, like, 2 more normal games and slip them in here. So it's not... Don't worry, it's not going to be 7 3 mistakes videos in a row. I just recorded them all because I'm done with them, so yeah, they're there. But these will get shifted around. If there's a patch, I'll cover the patch stuff, get some patch replays, and shift these back. If there's no patch, I'll sprinkle in some game replays, but those are all done, ready to go. Most Curse campaign highlights will keep coming as I do those streams, but they slowed down. These 3, I took a weekend and I just edited down all of my campaign footage up to that point. Now the rate of the campaign videos will slow down because I have to stream them and then edit them and then get them. So we'll get like 1 campaign video a week, maybe 1 every 2 weeks. In case you were worried this was becoming just a campaign channel. That's what I got for channel news. I don't know. Our analytics are pretty good. Legend of Total War mentioned us. We got 143 subs in a day, and then it tapered off, and now we're sitting around 20 a day, which is pretty good. Pretty fine. Our Nakari short's doing all right. It's gotten 15K views for subscribers. Whereas, like, the most Curse campaign stuff, it gets way less views, but also a lot of subscribers, because I don't think a lot of campaign people gave a shit about me. And then I made a video like this, and they're like, holy smokes, he's funny. Let's hang out with that guy. So, yeah. Our revenue's been doing okay, though. Made $800 in the last month, which, I mean, it's a good amount. I don't want to whine or complain, but before anybody's like, wow, he's rolling in dough, it's like, I mean, that's... Let's round up to 1,000, 12 months. That's $12,000 a year, and that's rounding up, so it's probably more like 10K. And I work on this channel probably like 40 hours a week. Not a great hourly rate, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Soon it'll be worth every hour I put in. It's all right. We have fun. So, yeah, there's what to look forward to on the channel. Why did Goji cast say Human Boy casting Dom Nani twice? The hell? Almost minimum wage, yeah. No, it's definitely more of a project of passion right now than like a true economic force. But we're working. I mean, obviously, if you ask me, would I want it to be my main job? Yes, but that's why I haven't quit my job. Is like, well, I kind of need this to get in a spot to make enough money first. And you guys, real talk, you're in a race because when Grace and I have a kid, if YouTube does not make enough money to be a job, then I am choosing the kid over YouTube. If YouTube is making enough money to be a job, then I will choose YouTube over my current job. So the onus is on you. Get your friends, get some subscribers and shit going. Get us up to enough people to make this worth a full-time job. Otherwise, when I have kids, you are all lower priority than my child. Because that's just responsible. Like, if you, I know I'm joking and I doubt it, but like there's probably 1 or 2 people out there that are going to watch the VOD or something, or someone's going to take issue with that. They'll be like, what? How dare you abandon us because you have a kid? It's like, yeah, God forbid being a father is more important than a YouTube second job. Because not even my main job. If it's my main job, then I give a shit. But like right now, I work in water analysis and purification for the study of PFAS compounds. Science shit. And then I do this whenever I get home. Whenever I have a free second to think about my life, I say, nah, fuck that, and I hop on Warhammer with you degenerates. That is it. That's all I do. Except for now I get to play Oblivion a little bit. Until the patch comes out, and then I guess I don't get to play Oblivion anymore. All right, that's all I have. Thanks to Tequila Sunset for rating us again. Oh, boy. I know, Lashona, I'm a trash man. Is your main job that horrible? No, I just really, really like streaming. And I think I'm good at it. Like, and that's not to be a dick. If I didn't, that's just reality. Like, you can tell me whether or not I'm good at it, that's fine. But I think I'm really good at streaming, and I think I can make a career out of it because I have to think that. If I didn't think I was good at this, then why the fuck would I be doing it, right? So obviously, I think I'm good at it. Now it's up to you people whether or not you actually think, yeah, you should make a job out of this, right? But we'll see. You know, we can get people that give a crap, do that. Because also, when it's your main job like Turin, he can, when he doesn't have a second job he has to go to and stuff, he can afford to spend time playing other games and getting good at them, and then you can cover multiple games. Right now, because I have limited time, I stick to Warhammer because it's the game I already know well enough to make content about. But I don't have time to learn a new game to make content about a different game. So we could branch out if it was my main job, but I don't know. I like this. It's a passion project, and I enjoy it a lot. I also like my other job, but if both made the same amount of money, I would do this. But it's not like I hate my job. I have a good job. Some decent coworkers. Job I give a shit about is nice. No gym. I do work out, but I have a gym at home, so fine. Good stream, big dog. Thanks, Slog. Now we're just in the awkward part at the end of the stream where I'm chilling and talking to you guys, but I don't actually have any content left. It's over. People are watching right now think you're good at it? Yeah. Legend can't branch out. Yeah, but he's kind of trapped in his own success in a way. Because I feel like he would take such a big hit in viewership that he can't branch out. Whereas, like, Turin doesn't take that big of a hit when he branches out. Because Turin's just vibing. You're generally a great streamer. Thanks, KBH. Yeah, I did start streaming, and I'm like not trying to throw too much shade because a lot of the people I'm talking about are gone by now. But why I started streaming is because like I thought a lot of streamers were uncreative, and I thought there was a lot more they could do. Where like, you know, so I had big ideas, and I've done a lot of them. Like Gladiator's fun, our campaign challenges are fun, things like that. that are just different and unique. And I saw a lot of content creators at the time would just like, everybody is doing the same tournament the same way, casting the same games. And when the meta is boring, they all leave. And I'm like, dude, there's so much more fun shit you could do. So I don't know. And like, I wrote a book, I made board games. So I'm just kind of a person that really likes to do creative stuff. Again, not trying to say I'm the greatest person who's ever existed. Maybe you read my book and you think it sucks. Maybe you play my board game and you think it sucks. That's fine. Like, that's your opinion. But I really enjoy doing creative stuff. And it's like, it is like crack to me when people tell me I'm doing a good job. When I go through the YouTube comments, and this isn't breaking ground, but when I go through the YouTube comments and there's one person that says you're a piece of shit, I like think about that all day. I'm like, that motherfucker. But also when there's a person that's like, you're my favorite streamer, I'm like, this is why we do it. The sheer just adrenaline rush of power. Because my parents didn't love me. I'm kidding on that one. But like, I don't know. I'm just a little attention whore. So if people, if I had two jobs and one is making safe drinking water for people and studying PFAS compounds, and the other one was people tell me I'm good at something, I'm like, the people one. Attention, power. Nah, I love it. Stream is great, dude. This is very fun. And you guys are what makes it fun. If no one was here, then this shit would suck. It would be bad. You wrote a book? Yeah, I did. It might still be for sale online. I had the same problem with a book as I did a board game. I wrote a book and I thought it was good, but it was a hard time getting a publisher on board. So I finally got it self-published, which I know, hold your groans. But then marketing it was really hard, and getting it in like stores was really hard. So then we just sold it online and didn't sell a lot of copies. And then I made a board game, and getting that with a distributor was really hard. So I spent 2 or 3 years just going through markets and like making a booth and showing people how to play the game and selling it. And like, we ordered 2,000 copies. We sold about 900. And then I just had to offload the last 1,000 like last summer. So almost a year ago, I shut down my small business. So I used to have 3 jobs because that was when I was streaming too. But yeah, so those didn't work out. Unfortunately, I thought they were good. You wrote a book? Yeah. I'm in the top 10 favorite for 911. Yeah, dude. Game Boy tells audience they deserve to drink PFAS. It's true. No, the very short version of the book, I'm not going to bore you with like, here's the whole book, but like the synopsis is just, it's kind of like a cheesy young adult book, so I'm not going to pretend it's Game of Thrones or anything. But it came from a conversation with a college roommate of mine about Valhalla and how Valhalla, the Viking afterlife, couldn't be boring as shit. Because its build is like, oh man, you fight and drink beer forever, and it's the greatest thing. I'm like, how is that not boring? Because you're already dead. So isn't the thrill of the fight like surviving and whatever? After your 4th or 5th battle, where even if you get an axe to the brain, either nothing happens to you or you just like show back up somewhere else. How is that interesting at all? Wouldn't they get bored? And what are you fighting for? Like, another part of the fighting is the victory and like, we took this thing, or like, we got this booty. Well, there's no booty to get when you're all dead already. So like, and I'm sure there's some Norse philosophers out there who have a ton of details that my white American ass does not. My Minnesota American ass does not know the nuances of the Norse religion. But for the sake of the book, I was thinking about it and I was like, well, how would Valhalla be interesting? So then I thought, what if for every kill you get, you steal the strength of your opponent? So if your opponent's like a good archer, like you get some modicum of their talent and their strength. And if your opponent is like this big guy who wields a hammer and you kill him, you get some modicum of like physical buffness and like whatever. And also when you reincarnate, like in this world, like let's say you die, the next time you spawn, quote unquote, or show back up, you can kind of do something different, like with your physique or whatever, because it's kind of your incorporeal spirit form. It doesn't have to be, I'm Joe. I look exactly how I did when I died. I was 68. I'm 68 forever. I imagine people go back to their ideal selves. What's your ideal self? Can't you pick that? Can't your mental image of yourself change? So every time you come back, you might look a little different. You might have a different physique, might have a different build, that kind of thing. So I was thinking about that. Anyway, that was a long setup to how this book works. Anyway, the point is Valhalla is kind of set up like that, where people are battling to like see how high they can get before they finally lose. So it's not like two armies fighting each other. It's more of like a free-for-all. And then some guys that get a lot of power at one point get together and they say, hey, listen, we're like the 5 strongest guys around here. We've killed 100 people in this current life that we're running. What if we all group up and while everyone else is 1v1ing each other, we 5v1 some people, get even more power, and we do that enough that we get big and strong enough that like literally no one can challenge us, and then we can just kind of make this place our bitch, because they're kind of bored of like the free-for-all aspects. They kind of want to like make an afterlife empire, and then they recruit people by bullying them, and it's like, hey, listen, you've got like 20 souls under your belt, you're decently strong, you're stronger than you've gotten in like the last 100 years. Me and my 4 buddies with hundreds of kills are going to body the shit out of you and make you restart, or do this job for me, and then I'll leave you alone. And like through that, they set up an empire, and before like people really notice it, a government gets set up, and then a lot of the like free-for-all people are like, wait, this is supposed to be our fun afterlife party, and you just made laws. That's not cool. And they're like, what are you gonna do about it, bitch? So then they kind of form a rebellion, but they're shit at it. And this all happens like before the book even starts. They form a rebellion, but they're shit at it because they're all kind of free-for-alling nut jobs. And then, yeah. So then the book starts like after that battle that failed to overthrow them, and you see the shattered remnants of the rebels kind of go back into hiding, and then that's where the plot starts. So, yeah. You follow some shattered rebels on their adventures as they try and get their feet back under them and escape the government. I don't want to pay taxes. I'm already dead. Why do I have to pay fucking taxes? I'm dead already. Leave me alone. Is the board game available for purchase on Tabletop Simulator? It's free on Tabletop Simulator. Yeah, I modded it into Tabletop Sim. It's free. I still have like 30 copies behind me, but all the rest I got rid of because the storage unit for keeping the extra inventory I had was like $100 a month. Do the Norse gods not get involved? No, I didn't include them, really. Oh, shit. Will said I shouldn't have said that. I said a thing. All right. I said I was going to leave 20 minutes ago. My wife is probably going to be mad at me for being 20 minutes late because I was yapping about nothing. Love hanging out with you guys. Hope you all have an excellent Saturday. My biggest critique is you spent too much time on the side character with the wolf theme and not enough on the trap maker. The main character? I did like Torvald, yeah. All right. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for hanging out.